Chapter 301, One Shocking Dragon Palace City, 3. Chapter 301 Shocking Dragon Palace City, 3. If it could give birth to a nest of Overlord cubs, it would be invincible. Even if they didn't want to have children, who didn't want to have a chance to return to the peak? I want to join the Environmental Protection Department. Count me in. It's not too much for me to be a core member at the Overlord level. Countless monarchs and even overlords started to shout, making Heavenly King Zu and the others' values collapse. What was going on? Where did Shiyu find this thing? It was too sick. The young people in the human area were all shocked. Even the tyrannical sea legend took a deep breath. He suddenly felt that it was a little ridiculous for Shiyu to use this thing as a reward. Of course, everyone, there's no need to be too excited. The level of this miracle fruit isn't high. It can only have an effect on life forms below the monarch level. If it's consumed at a higher level, the price will be very high, and even death. Moreover, the time effect is very short. Shiyu saw the enthusiastic response of so many sea beasts and felt a little embarrassed. He smiled bitterly. As soon as he finished speaking, the smiles of the Overlord-level creatures instantly stopped. The Sea Dragon King knew that there was definitely a limit to this kind of thing. Otherwise, it would go crazy and couldn't help but want a few. At this moment, Shiyu snapped his fingers. Beside him, the Turtle Prime Minister and the Mermaid gradually recovered. The duration was very short, but this way, with no battle consumption, the burden on them was much smaller. After recovering, the Turtle Prime Minister looked at Shiyu with a fawning expression. Even if it was temporary, it still wanted it a little. It didn't have a child. At the side, Yin Xinyu recalled her beautiful posture just now and looked at Shiyu in admiration. She was even more determined to join the Environmental Protection Department. At this moment, Shiyu added, however, although the miracle fruit has restrictions, it's also special. Its greatest characteristic is its growth ability. Its level effect will become stronger and stronger with time. Perhaps it's only effective for monarchs now, but in special places with abundant time power, putting this fruit in there and letting the different time zone pass. It might be effective for overlords in a few decades. Roar. At this moment, the originally lost overlords were pleasantly surprised. The mood of the overlord creatures changed from low to high and returned to an excited state. This was great. No, or it could be said that even if they paid the price of death to exchange for battle power at their peak when they were weak, it wasn't bad. Even if they didn't use it, as long as they had it. It was a deterrent against the enemy. Countless sea beasts coveted the time fruit. This thing had to be made. Of course, the greatest flaw of this time fruit is that the number is limited. It's a non-renewable resource. I also obtained it accidentally from the ruins. So, maybe only the senior members of the Environmental Protection Department can get it. If they join too late, they probably won't. Shiyu smiled and said, "All right, I've finished talking about the benefits of the Ministry of Environment. Next, everyone, welcome to join. If you're an Overlord Senior and want to join the Environmental Protection Department, you can directly become a core member. There's no specific duty. You just have to register. You just have to take action when the Environmental Protection Department encounters some unsolvable difficulties. Similarly, the Ministry of Environmental Protection will immediately distribute a time fruit to you." Countless overlords widened their eyes. There was such a good thing? What was the difference between this and giving away the badge for free just now? Of course, if you're at the Monarch, Commander, or Transcendent level, you probably won't be able to. Even if you become an ordinary member, you have to undergo some tests. The goal of the Ministry of Environment is to only recruit elites. After all, the number of badges and fruits is really limited. I have to screen the members. As soon as he finished speaking, countless monarchs and commanders became nervous, afraid that they weren't qualified. In the next moment, Shiyu chuckled. A huge blue array appeared in mid-air and under his feet. Then, 5 pets condensed in the blue array. Seeing this scene, many knowledgeable sea beasts were stunned. Blue Summoning Array, Master Level Beast Tamer. Minister Shiyu is only a Master Level Beast Tamer? This strength was already not weak in Dong Huang's eyes. But in this Dragon Palace banquet where elites gathered, it was indeed not enough. After all, the minimum requirement for participating in the Dragon Palace banquet was also a monarch faction. However, since Shiyu had already taken out such impressive resources, they didn't care about Shiyu's strength. As long as there was milk, it was the mother. A moment later, 5 pets appeared in the air. 11, who was more than a meter tall, crossed its arms and looked down with an invincible expression. The huge butterfly of imagination flew behind Shiyu and looked at the pile of sea beasts with a burning gaze. Baby Ginseng's leaf wings spread out and stood high in the sky. Who said it couldn't fly? There was also the red sword spirit Little Kai Tong, who was dancing in the air, and Susu, who had just joined the team. All the members instantly appeared beside Shiyu. The content of the test is also very simple. Monarch level, you need to fight the iron-eating beast I contracted. It's also Monarch level, your examiner. Below Commander rank, I need you to complete the test under one of my Commander rank pets, the Butterfly of Imagination, Baby Ginseng, Sword Spirit, and Water Slime. You can choose examiners freely. Shiyu smiled. He didn't plan to miss this opportunity to train 11 and the others. There were too many powerful pets in Dragon Palace City. Chapter 302, Shocking Dragon Palace City, 4. Chapter 302 Shocking Dragon Palace City, 4. For example, although the Turtle Minister was only at the Monarch level, at its peak, its energy value exceeded 10 million. It was very terrifying. It was all battle experience. Of course, Shiyu did not do this purely to test the battle power of these sea beasts. He even wanted to use this opportunity to screen a batch of low-level pets with the will of an overlord and join the Environmental Protection Department to become the strongest team for Susu in the future. Roar! As Shiyu finished speaking, countless sea beasts looked at the iron-eating beast, Little Butterfly, Baby Ginseng, and even the Water Slime in confusion. They thought that the test would be very difficult. In the end, they just had to fight them. In fact, he didn't even ask for a definite win. Holy shit, this badge was indeed a free gift. If they won, would they become a core member and be able to get the time fruit? Shiyu was a master-level beast tamer. How strong could his pets be? Of course, there were also people who were tactful. For example, when the little white dragon saw Shiyu letting 11 and the others be examiners, its expression immediately darkened. Damn it, the most talented handsome dragon in Dragon Palace City was insta-killed by them in one move. Could ordinary sea beasts pass this test? Fortunately, it could directly become a core member through the back door using its father. Now, as Shiyu mentioned the benefits and entry conditions of the Environmental Protection Department, the atmosphere of the Dragon Palace banquet instantly reached a climax. Countless overlord sea beasts took the lead to say, "Ha ha ha, I have a responsibility to protect the sea. I'll join this Environmental Protection Department." Me too. Brother Sponge, Brother Octopus, what do you think? Joining. I, the Black Flood Dragon Overlord, also want to join. There was even less of a need to talk about the generals like the sky-penetrating whale that Shiyu was familiar with. They all wanted to sign up for themselves. If they did, there would be fruits. It would be a waste not to join. Even the Turtle Minister was winking at the Sea Dragon King. Could it join too? The Sea Dragon King's face was pitch black. Good lord. Ice Dragon was overjoyed. Damn, so many underlings. Ha 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 ha. However, the time fruit indeed had this attraction, and Ice Dragon was not surprised. Shiyu had already confirmed with Ice Dragon that Emperor Sha had indeed mastered the ability of the time fruit as well. In short, now that the Overlord Sea Beasts were all like this, the Monarch Sea Beasts and Commander Sea Beasts were obviously excited as well. They looked at 11 and the others with burning and battle intent. At this moment, the Dragon Palace banquet was completely in chaos. Heavenly King Zu, who had just obtained the recognition of the Black Flood Dragon Overlord and was entrusted with its son, looked at the Black Flood Dragon Overlord who took the initiative to join the Environmental Protection Department with a confused expression. Yu Shu, Yin Jingfan, and the others shook their heads and lost their ability to think. This was recruitment? Was Yu sure this wasn't taking over Dragon Palace City? Even a totem-level Dragon King didn't have as many Overlord-level minions as him. Tyrannical Sea Legend? Then do we still join? Don't tell me we also have to pass Shiyu's test, Yu Shu cried. They clearly came to accept the test of the Overlord-level Sea Beast. Why did it become accepting Shiyu's test now? Moreover, the key was that they also really wanted the badge and the fruit. Tyrannical Sea Legend was silent and didn't answer. He was thinking about how he should tell the people from the association about the mess at the Dragon Palace banquet. After leading the team for so many years, this was the first time he had seen such a situation. He was very tired. He felt that the current Shiyu was even more First Bureau than the people of First Bureau. Therefore, shouldn't Dong Huang also set up a 14th Bureau of Environmental Protection Bureau for Shiyu to be the director? If the battle power of this bureau was included in the Ocean Environmental Protection Department, its battle power would probably be at the top of the dozen or so departments in Dong Huang. Chapter 303, Hell's Difficulty Test. Chapter 303, Hell's Difficulty Test. Dragon Yang Island. In the Dragon Palace banquet. At this moment, the benefits of the department had already been displayed. Soon, it was the nervous and exciting assessment segment. I'm the Deputy Minister of the Ocean Environmental Protection Department. If you overlords want to join the Environmental Protection Department, you can register with me. The gem cat had run from the human area to Shiyu's side at some point in time, stunning the sea beasts. Damn, why was this cat here again this year? It even became the Vice Minister of the Marine Environmental Protection Department. Was it going to rely on food to maintain the ecological balance of the species and indirectly protect the environment? I'll be in charge of the assessment, Shiyu said. So, is anyone willing to accept the assessment and join the Environmental Protection Department? As Shiyu finished speaking, the sea beasts looked at each other. The Overlord-level sea beasts were still relatively reserved. Some directly communicated telepathically, while others planned to talk to the gem cat after the banquet. However, the Monarch and Commander-level sea beasts were all eager to try. However, according to the previous rules, no matter the order of the banquet, it was arranged according to race and strength. Therefore, even if they wanted to accept the Environmental Department's test, high-level sea beasts and races would come first. I wonder what's the requirement to become a core member of the Environmental Protection Department. Boom! At this moment, accompanied by a thunderclap, a figure suddenly flew over from the horizon. It emitted a shocking dragonmite and landed in front of Shiyu and the others. Seeing this figure, the little white dragon cursed. The surrounding sea beasts were also stunned. This was a huge eastern dragon dozens of meters long. Its black body floated with white hair that was like a thundercloud. Black lightning lingered in the dragonmite that shot out. Name: Primordial Thunder Dragon. Attributes: Thunder, Dragon. Race level: High-level Overlord, Quasi-mythical. Level of growth: Monarch level. Introduction: the second Prince of Dragon Palace City, son of the Thunder Dragon King. Energy points: 7,060,000. Your Highness the Second Prince. Seeing this person, the Turtle Prime Minister was stunned. He didn't expect this person to suddenly appear at the Dragon Palace banquet. The moment it appeared, it looked at the Sea Dragon King and the Ice Dragon King and said, "Lord Sea Dragon King, Lord Ice Dragon King." "Oh? You're here too?" The Sea Dragon King clicked its tongue. It was very familiar with this lightning dragon. In the Dragon Palace, the little white dragon had been bullied by this guy a lot. For this, it and the Azure Dragon King often went to the Thunder Dragon King to reason. It's His Highness the Second Prince. It's actually here too. Many sea beasts were shocked when they saw the primordial Thunder Dragon. An impressive existence has come. In the human area, Heavenly King Zhu's gaze immediately turned serious. This person's strength, among the monarch-level battle power in Dragon Palace City, was definitely at the top. Only some sea beasts with long lifespans or other opportunities might be stronger than the primordial Thunder Dragon, and it was limited. Most importantly, this guy was still in the high-speed growth stage. Its potential had not been stimulated at all. In terms of strength, it might not be the strongest among the monarchs in Dragon Palace City, but in terms of potential, it was definitely one of the best. The primordial Thunder Dragon was an electric eel transformation dragon. It was a race with extremely strong battle power and potential among the current dragons. I wonder what's the requirement to become a core member of the Environmental Protection Department. The sudden appearance of this primordial Thunder Dragon was clearly also for the time fruit. If you fight it equally at the same level or defeat it, you can become a core member of the Environmental Protection Department. After Shiyu saw the primordial Thunder Dragon, he smiled and signaled for 11 to come forward. Woo! 11, who was floating in the air with the electromagnetic levitation, stepped forward. The primordial Thunder Dragon narrowed its eyes and looked at the little iron-eating beast. It also sensed that it was also playing with electricity. However, was Shiyu serious? Letting such a little guy be an examiner? This, even His Highness the Second Prince has to take the assessment. His Highness, the Second Prince, is almost invincible in the monarch domain of Dragon Palace City, right? At this moment, even some Overlord heirs felt inferior when they saw the Second Prince's primordial Thunder Dragon. No, or rather, even the little white dragon felt weak when it saw this guy. The Thunder Dragon King's battle power was one of the best among the 7 Dragon Kings in Dragon Palace City. Its descendants were naturally ridiculously strong. Come, then. The primordial Thunder Dragon spat out lightning and circled in midair, indicating that it wanted to accept the so-called assessment. In the face of the confidence of the primordial lightning dragon and the surprise of the surrounding sea beasts, Shiyu only smiled. Unfortunately, this primordial Thunder Dragon was indeed strong, but he couldn't let it win. Although it was a lie to say that the time fruit was a non-renewable resource, there were indeed not many time fruits. According to Shiyu's thoughts, providing each overlord with one was already very expensive. Therefore, he had no intention of giving the time fruit to monarch and commander level sea beasts from the start to make them core members. At most, it could become an ordinary member. And how to do it was naturally to increase the difficulty of the assessment a little. Of course, not giving it now didn't mean not giving it in the future. However, that was after baby ginseng became stronger. This way, by dragging it out slowly, these ordinary members could also work hard and pursue promotion. If they reached a high position from the start, they wouldn't work hard. Under normal circumstances, it was really a little difficult for 11 to face a monarch-level divine dragon of a quasi-mythical race with 7 million energy points. Even if it won, 11 himself would probably be quite tired and need to explode to resist the enemy. Chapter 304, Hell's Difficulty Test, 1. Chapter 30 for Hell's Difficulty Test, 1. However, when he saw that this guy had lightning, Shiyu was immediately amused. With the Dao Proficiency Storage Lightning and the Super Lightning Rod, this guy was basically equivalent to a free charging treasure. In addition to the high proficiency explosiveness, the other party might not be able to last one round against 11. However, even if the other party wasn't a thunder type, it wasn't that easy for the enemy to win. After all, he was already determined to not be able to afford losing. He had made sufficient preparations. Then, Your Highness, we won't be polite either. Shiyu said. No need to be polite. Beat him up fiercely. If you win, I'll give you a good thing. The Sea Dragon King said telepathically. However, it didn't know if Shiyu could do it. Shiyu had a strange expression and coughed dryly. Was this all right? Polite? Just treat it as a normal assessment. The primordial lightning dragon said proudly. At the same time, shocking lightning shot out of its white hair. Boom! Almost instantly, its entire body was covered in endless white lightning, dazzling and domineering. Skill, Primeball Thunder Souled Introduction. It's a super thunder element skill. Summon the Primal Thunder Soul possession. During the existence of the Thunder Soul, it can increase the user's strength, speed, lightning strength, and battle will. At the same time, the body is protected by lightning. It can cause strong lightning damage to the enemy who comes into contact with it. Although it was confident that it could defeat the little guy opposite, the Primordial Thunder Dragon still activated the super skill possession at the start. You guys attack first. In the state of the Thunder Soul, the Primordial Thunder Dragon's eye seemed to contain lightning. It looked at the tiny iron-eating beast in midair and said, "Then we'll attack first." Shiyu said indifferently. At the same time, Fan Yu, Yun Shu, and the others in the human area started discussing. Shiyu's iron-eating beast should have broken through to the monarch level. However, the opponent is a super dragon species like the Primordial Thunder Dragon. Can it really be done? This Primordial Thunder Dragon feels like it's not weaker than President Gao's ultimate Sacred Dragon Beast at all, Yin Zhengfan said after a moment of silence. Believe him, White Brook said. In her opinion, 11 could defeat a monarch at the commander rank. Now that it was a monarch rank was fighting a monarch rank, it shouldn't be a problem. It definitely can. I remember this guy. Yu Shu was silent. He remembered that this guy was immune to lightning when facing that foreign guy's lightning unicorn, right? He wanted to know if 11 was still immune to the Primordial Thunder Dragon's dragon lightning. Can he win? Generally speaking, it's unlikely. Even that Lu Qingyi definitely can't defeat this lightning dragon at the master level. Heavenly King Zhu narrowed his eyes. With his strength, defeating this primordial lightning dragon was naturally easy. However, Shiyu was only an ordinary master at the moment. Moreover, he didn't have any strengthening talent. Heavenly King Zhu really wanted to know Shiyu's true strength. The battle between the second prince of Dragon Palace City and the human genius recognized by the 4 Dragon Kings? That creature should be an iron-eating beast, right? Why do I remember that this creature is a transcendent race? Did I remember wrongly? Many ocean overlords discussed when they saw the situation in front of them. To be honest, under the same level and talent, human beast tamers were definitely stronger. This was because they had contracted many pets and had the beast taming talent. The advantage was that transcendent creatures who fought alone couldn't compare to them. But now, it was clearly 1 vs 1. Moreover, the pets Shiyu sent made these ocean overlords very puzzled. Iron-eating beast. There were even some overlords who didn't know about iron-eating beasts at all. After all, the sea and land were very far apart. Therefore, they didn't even know about the iron-eating beast, let alone that the iron-eating beast had already been researched and evolved in Donghuang. 11. At this moment, Shiyu didn't stand on ceremony and directly ordered 11 to attack. Thunder God form. Woo! Upon hearing that, white light began to linger around 11's 1-meter-tall body in midair. Its size increased crazily at a visible speed. The Primordial Thunder Dragon, which was originally complaining that the iron-eating beast was too small, was stunned when it saw this scene. It saw that the little iron-eating beast that was just a meter tall just now was quickly enlarging. Soon, it became a huge beast 10, 20, 30 meters tall. And it didn't stop. At this moment, the iron-eating beast's body enlargement seemed to be endless. In an instant, under the constricted pupils of the Primordial Thunder Dragon and countless sea beasts, it turned into a huge monster hundreds of meters tall. Its body had become even larger than the Sea Dragon King and the Frost Dragon. At this moment, this was the first time its battle power was fully released. After the Monarch level, 11 could finally withstand this extreme transformation. The shocking change shocked even the Sea Dragon King. It opened its mouth slightly. It had never seen a creature that could reach this level of transformation. What shocked the Primordial Thunder Dragon and many sea beasts was that during the transformation, the iron-eating beast's appearance had completely changed. The sharp mode of inner power erupted and it directly turned into the form of the 9-Li battle beast. Under the cover of the black and silver armor, the 100-meter 11 revealed 2 eyes that seemed to contain lightning. At this moment, its entire body also revealed a deterrence aura. The deterrence and the lightning wrapped around its body emitted a terrifying aura. Because it was the deterrence of Tao proficiency, the lightning 11 controlled was like a king among lightning. In almost an instant, the Primebal Thunder Soul on the primordial Thunder Dragon let out a sizzling cry. Regarding this, the second prince's expression instantly changed. Chapter 305, Hell's Difficulty Test, 2. Chapter 305 Hell's Difficulty Test, 2. Roar! How is this possible? Sensing the racial and ability suppression from 11, the primordial Thunder Dragon widened its eyes. It actually felt that this guy's race was even more perfect than its own. Grab it! Under Shi Yu's command, 11 stretched out its huge hand wrapped in lightning. At this moment, the tiny one was the immemorial Thunder Dragon that had yet to grow. In the face of 11's palm, the primordial lightning dragon directly growled. Black lightning in the form of dragons erupted from its body, turning into a group of dragons that bit at 11. Skill, Black Dragon Lightning. Introduction: It's a super thunder element, dragon element skill, special lightning. Under the enhancement of the Primebal Thunder Soul, the destructive power of the extremely terrifying and violent Black Dragon Lightning reached the extreme. However, the moment the black tide approached 11's black hardening palm, the lightning power on the Lightning Dragon Lightning seemed to have been swallowed by a black hole, leaving only the dragon-shaped energy weakly crushed by the huge hand. Tao Proficiency Storage Lightning, Lightning Star. Moreover, the absorbed lightning directly made 11's aura increase again, and black air waves emitted from its body. With a boom, 11's deterrence erupted with all its might. The huge deterrence enveloped the body of the primordial Thunder Dragon like the sky collapsing. Compared to the deterrence of 11's Tao proficiency with its perfect level dragon might, the aura of the two parties was simply like the difference between heaven and earth. In an instant, the primordial Thunder Dragon showed an expression of disbelief. Its entire body seemed to have fallen into the thunder abyss, and its body was pinched in 11's hand. Seeing this scene, the little white dragon was the first to open its mouth wide with a shocked expression. Holy shit! In that Dragon Palace city, the second prince, who was a little bit stronger than it, was directly controlled by the opponent. Holy shit! At that moment, Yu Shu and the others were also shocked. Seeing that the second prince of Dragon Palace city was restrained by Shi Yu's iron-eating beast in a single exchange, they widened their eyes. Although they had enough confidence in the abnormal Shi Yu, this was too easy. The other party was the monarch-level son of a totem divine dragon. It was an existence that stood at the top of all races. This guy, an iron-eating beast, evolved into this form and pinched it just like that? Next, was it going to tear apart the dragon with its bare hands? Roar! After controlling the primordial Thunder Dragon, 11 was actually already confident of victory, because at this moment, the distorted primordial Thunder Dragon not only realized that the dragon power it was proud of was actually suppressed by this monster, but even the powerful lightning that erupted disappeared the moment it touched the other party and was swallowed by the other party. How could it be such a ridiculous thing? It roared and struggled, unable to understand. Roar! You're AF * King mythical race, right? The second prince of Dragon Palace city shouted at 11, its mentality breaking down. At that moment, the Sea Dragon King, the Turtle Prime Minister, and the many sea overlords watched the outcome of this battle in shock. They never expected that this Dragon Palace city's Minister of Environment was also so powerful. Was this iron-eating beast a monster? In an instant. Many monarch-level sea beasts also had drastic changes in their expressions along with the primordial Thunder Dragon. Wait, F*CK, how could there be such an examiner? It immediately restrained the strongest monarch of the monarch group in Dragon Palace City. How could they take the test? Was this a test that they really wanted to pass? Not good. Chapter 306, The Test is Becoming More and More Strange. Chapter 306 The Test is Becoming More and More Strange. The battle between 11 and the primordial Thunder Dragon showed the effect of the skills in a battle. The strength of the dragon race's body was strong, but the 100-meter enlargement directly raised its strength to the maximum, a perfect crushing. The lightning dragon's Black Dragon Lightning was powerful, and 11 directly countered it with the lightning resistance and lightning absorption skill. Even if the overall attributes of the primordial thunder dragon were a little stronger than 11 in various aspects, it seemed a little helpless under the suppression of the skill. Skill proficiency was Shiyu's pet's greatest advantage. In terms of skills, apart from overlords who train super skills to perfection, or totems that train super skills to perfection, there should be very few creatures below overlord level that could compete with Shiyu's pets. Second Prince, let's stop here. You might still be a little lacking from the standard of a core member. However, with your potential, I believe you can quickly be promoted to a core member. Roar! 11 squeezed its hard palms, and the primordial lightning dragon's face turned green and red. It was so angry that it gritted its teeth. Why was lightning ineffective against this guy? Why was this guy stronger than him? This was the first time the primordial thunder dragon had experienced such an aggrieved battle. Heh, you've already done pretty well. After all, Shiyu is a beast tamer cultivated by me, Ice Dragon said happily. His aptitude is 60% as elegant as Emperor Sha back then. You should start as an ordinary member. Countless sea beasts looked at the Ice Dragon with respect. As expected of a senior who had survived from the early stages of the Dong Huang dynasty. Shiyu? 11? What did it have to do with this guy? It couldn't even defeat Mu Huiyin. Why was this guy dragging Emperor Sha into this? However, Shiyu suddenly felt that Ice Dragon's shameless aura was a little similar to his. He didn't contract the Ice Dragon either. But was his shamelessness powerful enough to subtly influence it? What was going on? I understand. When the Ice Dragon King Totem spoke, the primordial thunder dragon immediately admitted defeat in admiration. After all, if it continued, it wouldn't look good if it lost consciousness. After the second prince admitted defeat, 11 let go of the huge palm. Under the light shining from its body, it shrank to a size of less than centimeters and cried out. Seeing 11 suddenly become a harmless panda, the second prince wanted to say something but hesitated. It cursed in his heart. No wonder Dragon Palace City wanted to befriend humans for generations. These human beast tamers were too bullshit. I'll start from an ordinary member. My strength is indeed lacking. After the primordial thunder dragon admitted defeat, it obediently landed in a public area and planned to continue watching. It wanted to see who could defeat this thing. It wasn't convinced. As long as no one could defeat that black and white thing, as long as everyone lost and couldn't become a core member, then it technically didn't lose as well. All right. Shiyu smiled and nodded. At this moment, the scene suddenly fell silent. After all, many monarchs had seen the battle just now. They believed that they would be insta-killed by the second prince. Then wouldn't challenging the black and white monster that suppressed the second prince in one move be stupid? In the human area, the few masters who had graduated from top universities took a deep breath. This Shiyu is only in his first year. Wasn't this strength a little too scary? Even they couldn't guarantee that they could defeat that second prince, let alone easily defeat him. Logically speaking, shouldn't a first-year student be at a different level? They looked at Yu Shu. Yu Shu? Yin Jingfan? Heh. White Brook was in high spirits. Heavenly King Zhu fell into deep thought. Fortunately, Shiyu didn't have that special battle-strengthening talent. Otherwise, other young beast tamers wouldn't be able to live. Roar! Excuse me, I'm commander rank, do I have a chance to become a core member? Among the monarch ranks, no sea beast spoke for a long time. Suddenly, a commander rank overlord heir spoke. It was a huge shark nearly 10 meters long and completely dark blue. Its side had red intelligent eyes and black gills, and the sharp teeth it revealed seemed to be able to bite through everything. Name, Deep Sea Dragon Shark. Attributes, Water, Dragon, Race Level Low Level Overlord. Level of Growth, Commander Level. Energy Points, 90,000. Shiyu looked over and felt that he had heard of this guy somewhere. It seemed that it had been called a fool by the little white dragon when he met it. Does a commander rank have a chance to become a core member? Of course. Shiyu looked at its indeed not very smart appearance and smiled. The core position of the Environmental Protection Department depends on potential, so even if it's only Commander rank, Transcendent rank, and Awakening rank, there's still a chance to become a core member. However, the conditions are definitely even harder. Raw? Really? The shark's expression was delighted. Well, as long as you defeat them, you can become core members. Shiyu walked past 11, who had just finished fighting, and pointed at Buggy, Baby Ginseng, Kai Tong, and Susu, who were still training their willpower at the lower level. They're also Commander rank. Of course, their strength is definitely not bad. Raw. Then can I choose an examiner freely? The shark said in surprise. Sure, you can choose the examiner freely. At that time, you can become a core member after defeating the examiner. If you lose, but do well, you can become an ordinary member. But if you lose very badly, then, Shiyu said. Chapter 307, The Test is Becoming More and More Strange, 1. Chapter 307, The Test is Becoming More and More Strange, 1. As Shiyu finished speaking, the Monarch level sea beasts immediately hated themselves for being Monarch level and not Commander level. As for the Commander level sea beasts, they were all overjoyed. Forget everything else. They looked at the water ball. Wasn't this the water slime? Not bad, what the hell? They didn't know about the iron-eating beasts, so they could just treat it as a very strong race. But the water slime, this was clearly the bottom of the water-eating food chain. There was also the small red sword that kept shaking its head. It was fire element, right? It must be fire element. It was countered by water. As for the flying ginseng baby, apart from its wings that were a little unfamiliar, they had also seen its appearance. They looked at the ginseng roots imported from the ground on the plate in front of them and fell into deep thought. They silently placed them in their mouths and chewed. Among the 4 pets, only the butterfly seemed to have something going on. This difficulty clearly looked much smaller than challenging the iron-eating beast. Raw. Then I want to challenge that water slime examiner. The shark shouted and looked at Susu with intelligence. As expected of my son, it's not too stupid. Behind the baby shark, the even larger shark overlord thought to itself. Although most overlord-level sea beasts did not have perception or reconnaissance skills, with their experience, they could vaguely sense the strength of Shiyu's pets in the sky. Every pet summoned by Shiyu was very strong among those of the same level. This ocean overlord could be sure. However, if they had to find the weakest one, then these overlords would undoubtedly choose the water slime. Many overlords cast appreciative gazes at the shark. Apart from Dr. Shell and the other overlords. Sure. As the shark made its choice, Shiyu nodded. At the same time, below, the little white dragon had just finished mocking the second prince in secret when it cast a silly look at the shark. Similarly, Yu Shu and the others cast sympathetic gazes. F*CK, that was a water slime that could directly break through to the monarch level. Even the son of the Sea Dragon King was insta-killed by it in one move. How could a low-level overlord race's shark dare try? If it was said that everyone might still have doubts about the water slime situation previously, Yu Shu and the others vaguely guessed why that water slime could break through at the last minute. It must have eaten the time fruit. This water slime had the ability to store the nature of the time fruit and didn't need to eat it at the last minute. Susu. As the shark chose Susu, Shiyu called it out. Susu immediately turned into a stream of water and flew over, taking 11's place and looking at the shark below. Nink. It was a little nervous on such a big occasion. However, it would work hard to defeat the other party. Raw. Compared to Susu, the shark appeared much more confident. It was a young version of the second prince. It swam into the sky confidently. However, just as it came out, it suddenly trembled. He sensed the scrutinizing gazes of the Sea Dragon King, the Turtle Prime Minister, the tyrannical sea legend, and the other big shots. The shark suddenly panicked. What was going on? Don't be nervous, you attack first. Shiyu chuckled and said. Then, he looked at Susu. Race name, mutated water slime, blue sea sprite reincarnation body. Attributes, water. Race level, high-level monarch, quasi-overlord. Level of growth, commander level. Race skill. Low level, bubble, Dao proficiency, lightning resistance, expert, poison resistance, expert. Intermediate, water regeneration, expert, boiling water, expert, freezing water, expert, purification, expert. High level, water dragon ball, expert, multiplication, expert, rain praying, expert, steam explosion, expert, guardian water, expert. Super level, water elemental control, initiate. Taught skill. Advanced, deterrence, expert, absolute sleep, expert. Super level, infinite devour, initiate. Energy points, 90,000. The reason why he let Susu come out as an examiner was not only because it could store the nature of the time fruit in the infinite devouring space and use it at any time. It was because after the tyrannical sea legend stopped him, Shiyu temporarily gave Susu some overtime. It was just a casual point adding. It wasn't high, but it was enough for Susu to have very strong battle power. In addition, it could indeed use the time fruit to cheat. There was no need to use it too much, though. It only converted a little of its nature and its battle power doubled. It was not something ordinary commander-level pets could fight against. Apart from that, it was worth mentioning. It was a pity that after devouring the turtle shell, Susu still couldn't awaken super skills. Absolute sleep also didn't become a racial skill. It had only awakened a high-level water element skill, water protection. However, this skill was also useful. As the name suggested, this skill could create water that could protect the target. After training to perfection, the water created with the could have autonomy could differentiate between friend and foe, and could detect dangerous auras. When danger was imminent, it would automatically protect the target and be immune to most damage. At the same time, after reaching Transcendent, it could also leave the user and exist independently in the outside world for a long time. In short, this was a very friendly move for beast tamers. Shiyu planned to give Susu priority to this skill in the future. At that time, not only could he have one more protective talisman, but he would also have one more skill to build equipment. Chapter 308, The Test is Becoming More and More Strange, 2. Chapter 308 The Test is Becoming More and More Strange, 2. Roar, then I won't be polite. At the same time, under the gazes of many sea beasts, the shark roared and instantly condensed the giant shark skill in front of its mouth. Buzz! Around it, hundreds of ferocious-looking water sharks the size of water bottles quickly condensed. In an instant, these water sharks attacked Susu like a rain of arrows. Skill, Giant Shark. Introduction: It's a water element super skill. It can create a giant shark made of water elements. The giant shark can devour the enemy's energy through biting. When the giant shark returns to its main body, it can replenish the devouring energy to the user. It was unknown if the shark was protective of the fairer sex or if its attitude was serious. Although it had used a super skill right from the start and didn't underestimate the enemy, this super skill was considered to have relatively low lethality. It would only devour the enemy's energy completely and not cause any serious damage. The 100 water shark attacked Susu, and at this moment, Susu only used a very simple skill. Who? Its body swelled until it was round. It blew bubbles in big mouthfuls. Then, an incomparably huge water bubble was blown up by it. Seeing this scene, many sea beasts were slightly stunned. Was he planning to use his low-level racial skill to fight head-on with the super racial skill of the Shark Clan? Skill, Bubble. Introduction: It's a low-level water element skill. It creates water bubbles. When the water bubbles are touched, the water will explode. No matter how he thought about it, it wasn't a quantitative water-type skill. However, the next scene exceeded the imagination of most sea beasts. They saw Susu blowing the bubble wider and wider. In the blink of an eye, the transparent water bubble became dozens of meters wide. As for itself, after blowing the bubble, it immediately hid in the bubble. The moment the attacking giant shark touched the bubble, it didn't detonate the bubble. Instead, it was absorbed into the bubble with a bang. Then, it was stunned on the spot and didn't continue attacking the water slime. Dong! 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 In a short moment, many giant devouring sharks were swallowed by the bubble. After entering, they directly lost their intelligence. The shark also lost its connection with them with a stunned expression, shocking it to immediately control the other giant devouring sharks to not come into contact with the bubble. Unfortunately, under Susu's control, this incomparably huge bubble began to advance and continue to expand. It suddenly swallowed a large number of giant devouring sharks. Nink! I'll return it to you. With the nature of the Dao proficiency level bubble wrap skill, Susu directly cracked the other party's skill. Moreover, on the jelly-like water slime's body, it used its talent skill elementalization to condense a water elemental hand. Its thin hand made a finger gun gesture. With a boom, it raised its finger. The huge bubble, dozens of meters in diameter, seemed to have been injected with hormones. It didn't fly slowly like other bubble skills at all. Instead, it was like a cannonball shot out of falling mercury and flew towards the shark with a boom. Roar! Damn! Seeing this strange bubble skill, the shark was instantly stunned. The other sea beasts were also stunned. When the shark reacted, it was already wrapped in the huge bubble. At this moment, Susu was already outside the bubble, watching the show quietly. Seeing this, the shark roared and swung its body. Another super racial skill with extreme lethality was activated. This time, it was the deep sea Fanga, famous for its lethality and destructive power. It was said that it could compress the power of water that was comparable to a tsunami onto the huge teeth of its race. Coupled with the natural huge teeth, it formed an incomparable tearing force, causing both physical and elemental damage. In the face of the bubble that wrapped itself, the WYRM shark raised its head. Its huge teeth turned into sharp blades as it suddenly charged towards the outside world in an attempt to leave. However, the deep-sea tooth that could cut apart a tsunami bit at the bubble like a fist hitting cotton, only causing a ripple. At this moment, the WYRM shark was stunned again. Countless sea beasts opened their mouths wide and looked at the shark that was being played by the water slime. Wait a minute. This plot was wrong. Why was the ability of a water slime so ridiculous? Low-level bubbles suppressed 2 super skills? Even if the shark was still weak and had never trained its super skills much, it shouldn't be crushed by low-level skills. In the next moment, something that made the shark even more panicked appeared. The huge bubble suddenly started to shrink, instantly changing from a circular bubble to a bubble membrane that stuck to its body. At this moment, let alone losing control once it had entered the bubble, the shark felt that its body instantly lost control. I'll give you 10 seconds. If you can break free of the bubble, you can become an ordinary member of the Environmental Protection Department. If you can't break free in 10 seconds, the bubble will explode. You will fail this battle, and the test will fail. Shiyu's words, which were narrowed, were like the whisper of a demon in the heart of the shark. It looked at the blurry water slime in the distance in horror and struggled with all its might. Then, it felt the membrane that was stuck to its body begin to burn. Almost instantly, the shark felt like it was about to be cooked. The current bubble began to look like a huge boiling pot boiling hot water, making the shark suffer indescribably. Under the boiling water, its struggle became stronger and stronger. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds. And this scene was even more ridiculous in the eyes of many sea beasts. The dragon species of a low-level overlord race was tested by the water slime of a transcendent race. They opened their mouths wide and quickly realized that Shiyu wasn't lying, nor was there a need to lie. This weak species of water slime in their impression was ridiculously strong. Chapter 309, The Test is Becoming More and More Strange, 3. Chapter 309, The Test is Becoming More and More Strange, 3. Just like that iron-eating beast, it was almost invincible at the same level. It was definitely comparable to an overlord race. Silly boy, why did you choose it? There must be a reason for things to be abnormal. Although this water slime looks weak, there's clearly something wrong. The shark overlord cursed his disappointing son. Wasn't it better to choose other pets? It had failed. Embarrassing. The family was unlucky. Roar. As time was about to end, the shark roared. Finally, as Susu held back a little, it penetrated the water bubble with an extremely excited expression and instantly swam far away. It couldn't be helped. After all, it was the son of an overlord. It was not bad to take him in as an ordinary member to run errands. Shiyu wasn't that unreasonable. At the same time, the time limit of the boiling shark-shaped bubble reached the limit. In the next moment, it exploded with a bang. Almost in an instant, the terrifying steam turned into a wave of air that was comparable to a tsunami, pushing in all directions. The shark that was originally happy to break free from the bubble was instantly sent flying out in a daze and smashed onto the ground. Following that, the spreading steam produced a second explosion. Boom! Explosive sound swept the entire sky. It was as if fireworks appeared in the Dragon Palace banquet. The continuous explosions made the shark on the ground tremble. Countless sea beasts opened their mouths wide. They didn't expect a bubble to produce so many subsequent reactions. The terrifying power made many sea beasts no doubt at all that if this water slime didn't give the shark a chance to break free and directly detonated the bubble instead, the shark would instantly be blown into rotten fish wings. At this moment, how could the dragon shark still have the thought of defeating the water slime? It directly felt a lingering fear. Congratulations on passing the assessment of ordinary members. Do you still want to continue? In the sky, Shiyu smiled at the shark. Nink. Susu also had its hands on its hips. She had yet to fight to her heart's content. Below, the shark with several burn marks on its body was stunned. It shook its head crazily. What a joke! If this continued, it would die. I admit defeat, I admit defeat. Ordinary members are pretty good too, it hurriedly said. Obviously, the shark that wanted to pick a weak opponent chose the wrong one. It couldn't even make Susu convert the power of the time fruit. Seeing this, the Sea Dragon King and the other big shots looked at Susu in admiration. As expected of the blue sea sprite reincarnation. It was awesome, just different from ordinary water slimes. The air of an overlord? It could beat it up just like that. Seeing that Susu wasn't bullied and instead easily defeated her opponent, the Sea Dragon King was amused and very satisfied. However, the expressions of those commander-level sea beasts instantly darkened like the monarch-level sea beasts from before. Just as the monarch-level sea beasts were complaining about how ridiculous the commander-level test was, the commander-level sea beasts even cried. This water slime was clearly not easy to bully. They knew very well how strong the shark was. Although it couldn't be considered strong at the commander level, it wasn't weak either. In short, Shiyu definitely didn't want them to easily become core members. They were certain. At that moment, the little shark touched its burn marks in pain, as if it felt that it couldn't continue to be so embarrassed. Since its strength wasn't enough, it had to show its intelligence and ask more information for the other sea beasts to highlight its existence. It asked intelligently. Minister Shiyu, the commander-level test is so difficult. Woo-woo, what kind of test will be given to the Transcendent and Awakening levels? The little shark's question indeed stumped Shiyu. Shiyu's thoughts were very simple. It was the will of an overlord. However, this definitely couldn't be said directly. Moreover, the chances of finding it were really not high. After a moment of silence, he felt that it wasn't too good to let 11, Baby Ginseng, and the others use their clones to test those weak ones. Therefore, he thought for a moment and said, "This is even easier. Just defeat me in the Transcendent and Awakening tests. It's very simple, right?" Now that he had the strength of a bin bear, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with sea beasts below the commander rank. The sea beasts, Heavenly King Zu, and the others? Why was the test getting more and more strange? Chapter 310, The Next Generation of Dragon Palace City. Chapter 310, The Next Generation of Dragon Palace City. Shiyu chuckled and thought about which transcendent and awakened sea beast would challenge him. However, at this moment, clearly no transcendent or awakened level sea beast dared to move rashly. With the battle just now as a precedent, there was definitely something wrong with Shiyu being so confident now. Could this guy be a ferocious hybrid? Many sea beasts muttered in their hearts. Otherwise, what gave Shiyu the confidence to challenge the sea beasts with his human body? Is Shiyu's physique very good? Heavenly King Zhu asked in confusion. Whitebrook, that isn't the problem here. When he was a high-level beast tamer, his physique wasn't inferior to a commander-level ferocious beast. Now, he's a master-level beast tamer. I reckon his physique should be close to that of a monarch-level ferocious beast. Well, although I have to consider the fact that transcendent creatures have skills, it shouldn't be a problem for Shiyu to rely on his physical body to defeat some weaker commander-level creatures. Yin Jingfan and the others. Tyrannical Sea Legend. This? So, it's really not a hybrid? Heavenly King Zhu couldn't believe it. His beast-taming space was already level 6, one level higher than Shiyu, but why did he feel that its physique wasn't even half as good as Shiyu's? Usually, in school he looks weak, but in the end, he's like a freak. So every time, he's always been overtraining. Yushu curled his lips. He didn't doubt Whitebrook's words. After all, during the heroic spirit ruins, Shiyu had relied on the level of an intermediate beast tamer to withstand the possession of the heroic spirit of a high-level overlord of the same level. After all, that was a violent sword spirit that the Ice Dragon General judged to be impossible to withstand at the same level. In Yushu's eyes, Shiyu was no different from a human-shaped ferocious beast. He even suspected that Shiyu could smash his bone dragon with a punch now. How can he find a girlfriend like this? The blue-haired girl was stunned. Find a hybrid to solve it perfectly, the hybrid dragonman said. Of course, I'm not talking about me. I have a sister. I'll lay my cards on the table. I want to be this guy's brother-in-law. Tyrannical Sea Legend was silent towards the gossip. Little White Dragon, go. You should also contribute to purifying the sea. Just as everyone was waiting for the next sea beast to challenge Buggy, Baby Ginseng, and Kai Tong. Suddenly, the Sea Dragon King spoke to the little white dragon that had learned the power of the North Wind. If it was said that before Shiyu took out the reward, it would still be alright with sending its little white dragon in as a core member. Now that Shiyu had taken out such a precious reward, even the second prince had accepted the test. Logically speaking, it should let the little white dragon go through the program. It was equivalent to training. W.A. To be honest, the Sea Dragon King was still a little confident in his son. Although it had been pampered and had never experienced setbacks, it had inherited its and the Azure Dragon King's abilities at the same time. According to the human detection method, the WYRM shark only had 90,000 energy points, and its son was as high as 160,000. Obviously, the difference between the overlord races was also huge. When transcendent life forms reached the totem level, they basically trained their racial skills to transcend perfection. It was equivalent to them already trying to open up their own path. At this stage, the powerful life realm could not only allow the elemental totems to imprint their traces of existence in nature, reaching the effect that made them very difficult to kill, but it could also allow traditional creatures to change, optimize their bloodlines, develop new racial skills, make up for their racial flaws, and customize the next generation's racial skills. Among the commander ranks in Dragon Palace City, the little white dragon's strength was also considered the first tier. Its race was very perfect, and it could break through to the monarch level at any time. However, the Sea Dragon King was not in a hurry to let it break through. Instead, it let it continue to build a foundation. This way, it could have the ability to compete with the monster-like second prince and the even more ridiculous eldest prince in the future. Of course, as 11 defeated the second prince, the Sea Dragon King was not very confident at this moment. This was because it felt that Shiyu's pet was also suppressing its level. The aura of the butterfly it sensed previously didn't seem to lose to its son at all. In short, those who could suppress levels were all monster geniuses. From the awakening level to the commander level, the energy form would change in the three forms of gas, liquid, and solid. As the pet grew and trained, the energy form would slowly accumulate, compress, and change its form in the creature's body. Every growth and transformation represented an energy qualitative change in a transcendent life form. It could bring a large increase in energy, and the increase in energy would also lead to the increase in all the qualities in the body. If it was said that the transformation of energy from the awakening stage to the commander stage was still a macroscopic change, then the breakthrough from the commander stage to the monarch stage was the huge energy in the commander rank creature's body. From a microscopic point of view, it was the process of perfectly integrating into the most basic composition of the extraordinary creature's body. During this process, the energy would even more exaggeratedly change the pet's body, spirit, and soul to increase the pet's life level. Then, the pet's entire body would undergo an extremely huge transformation. The deterrent skill was also awakened independently by the increase in life level during this process. At this moment, the energy and the transcendent life form had reached the most coordinated state. After the pet reached that stage, it could control the power in its body more easily and train various skills with twice the effect with half the effort. Generally speaking, it was impossible for a commander-level life form to grow to the monarch level. It was just like how humans naturally grew up. It was the autonomy of their bodies that subtly changed. Changing and growing required time. When the opportunity arrived, they naturally broke through. Transcendent life forms couldn't decide anything. Chapter 311, The Next Generation of Dragon Palace City, 1. Chapter 311, The Next Generation of Dragon Palace City, 1. However, for some powerful creatures, because they had trained the proficiency of various skills to an extremely high level when they were at the commander rank, their microscopic control of energy might be even more proficient than monarch-level creatures. Because such creatures were too genius, they could use the perfect energy control to slow down or even stop the microscopic energy in their bodies to integrate and strengthen the basic units of the body, thereby achieving the pressure effect. Apart from that, it was very difficult to suppress it. It might have to rely on contracts and other methods to restrict its growth. In the Sea Dragon King's eyes, Shiyu's beast-taming level was enough, and the strength of the pets like the butterfly of imagination was also enough, but they had yet to break through to the monarch level. They were definitely suppressing their levels. That iron-eating beast must have experienced similar stages. Only through this method could the iron-eating beast's strength be so ridiculous. In fact, the Sea Dragon King's judgment was also right. Before 11 broke through to the monarch level, all the skills, be it racial skills or teaching skills, apart from super skills, were basically at the maximum proficiency. Its control over energy was completely incomparable to creatures of the same level, so it naturally easily held back its power to a low level. In fact, during the breakthrough, it would also rely on its powerful energy control. Not only would it use the energy in its body to change its body, but it also borrowed the power of the natural heavenly lightning to strengthen its body. If not for its exaggerated lightning control, it definitely wouldn't be able to achieve such a breakthrough that exceeded the limit. At the same time, when it heard that its father wanted it to accept the test too and enter the Environmental Protection Department openly, the little white dragon's face immediately fell. Many overlords also looked at the little white dragon. The White Azure Dragon was one of the commander-level dragons in Dragon Palace City. Creatures like flood sharks were completely unable to defeat the little white dragon. Perhaps, the little white dragon had a chance. It's inferior to me at the same level. If I pass the test, it won't look good. However, the Thunder Dragon Crown Prince knew in its heart. Moreover, the little white dragon's response confirmed the second prince's words. I think I should stay out of it. The white dragon looked at the Sea Dragon King with a bitter expression. At the same time, it looked at 11, Kai Tong, Buggy, and Baby Ginseng. It couldn't tell its father that they had met and fought before. Just the deterrent skill alone was enough to scare it silly. It originally thought that it was very impressive for it to train its dragon might to perfection at the commander level, although it had used a pile of resources. But these for guys were all transcendent level deterrents. It was very ridiculous, all right. It estimated that in Dragon Palace City there were definitely less than 20 people who had mastered transcendent deterrence, including 9 totems. What was it supposed to do? None of Shiyu's pets were simple. Actually, I've interacted with Senior Shiyu's pet before. I might not be his match. Ha ha? Ha, the little white dragon said awkwardly. It didn't tell its family about being fished up and beaten up at all. Sea Dragon King? Who? The Sea Dragon King widened its eyes and looked at the little white dragon. You've come into contact with it? Which one? All, the little white dragon said in embarrassment. In any case, it didn't want to fight again here. It would directly admit defeat. It wasn't like it didn't see what the second prince was like. When the time came, it would directly be insta-killed by a deterrence. It would be even more awkward. As the little white dragon finished speaking, everyone fell silent. Many sea beasts looked at the little white dragon in disbelief and at the butterfly, baby ginseng, Kai Tong. Did the third prince mean that its strength was inferior to every pet here? How was this possible? It was a son of 2 totems. It couldn't defeat a supplement? As a divine dragon, it couldn't defeat a worm? Cough, cough. Third prince, you're too polite. It was also very difficult for them to win back then. Seeing the little white dragon directly self-destruct in a silly manner, Shiyu was also embarrassed. Was it stupid? If it didn't care about looking good, then its father did. He quickly made it look better. No, the little white dragon said guiltily. In any case, I've already fought. I'm indeed a little inferior to the standard of a core member. Why don't I start from an ordinary member? After all, even that invincible second prince with strength, talent, and potential to dominate Dragon Palace City is an ordinary member. The primordial lightning dragon? The Sea Dragon King was silent for a moment. Below, the gem cat's expression was the most strange. All right. A Shiyu. Next, he planned to slowly give these sea beasts a test in the ruins. For this test, he had gotten baby ginseng to prepare supplements for a long time in advance. The goal was to let Buggy and the others fight for a few days and nights to sharpen their will. Although there might not be a life-and-death battle, apart from the Overlord will, the other stages of will, such as low and intermediate will, didn't have such high requirements. The confidence of victory accumulated from fighting thousands of sea beasts for several days would definitely be able to help their will increase. Usually, they underwent various difficult training. Now, it was time to sublimate their willpower through continuous victories. All right, the Sea Dragon King agreed to this. Many monarch-level sea beasts and commander-level sea beasts also sighed softly when they saw this. Great! There was no need to be beaten in front of so many big shots. Good. If it was a test in a private space, it was all right to die. As Shiyu made a decision, the Thunder Dragon Crown Prince, the young WYRM Shark, and the others revealed bitter expressions. Holy shit, why didn't he make this decision earlier? Why did they have to do this? Then, under the strange expressions of most sea beasts and under the silent gazes of Yin Jingfan and the others, the Dragon Palace Banquet and the Environmental Protection Department began to move in sync. However, no matter how one looked at it, this Dragon Palace Banquet still changed. In the outside world, the Dragon Palace Banquet was in full swing. However, from time to time, there would be Overlord cubs that walked out of the testing space almost suspiciously. A freak, what the hell? Woo-woo, that butterfly can summon the illusions of the Ice Dragon King and the Sea Dragon King. What, it even used an illusion to hit you? I was directly insta-killed by psychic power. The ginseng baby I chose is the strange one. It insta-killed me with 1 deterrence. Why did I receive a fruit that would explode? I thought it could be eaten, but it exploded in my mouth. My teeth. That sword spirit is clearly the most ridiculous, all right? It can also expand. At the start of the battle, I realized that the other party wasn't to be trifled with, so I quickly retreated 39 meters. It directly turned it into a 40-meter-long sword and cut me down. Ah, I'm dead. Yours was a 40-meter-long sword. It hit me and directly separated 100 clones. The clones will even become phoenixes. Do you know what despair is? Woo 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 woo, I was punched to the ground by Minister Shi Yu. Many sea beasts surprisingly discovered that everyone had lost, and it was not so awkward anymore. They even discussed how they had lasted for a few seconds and actually became the capital for the sea beasts in Dragon Palace City to show off. In the outside world, many overlords looked at the Dragon Palace banquet that was gradually becoming ridiculous with the discussion and fell into deep thought. They kept feeling that the next generation of Dragon Palace City was going to collapse. 3 days later, a human figure with dragon horns floated in the sky above the Dragon Banquet Island. When it arrived, the Sea Dragon King, the Ice Dragon King, and the other totems didn't sense anything. The dragon god of the Dragon Palace City listened to the discussion of the next generation at the Dragon Palace banquet in silence and fell into deep thought. Chapter 312, The Dragon God is Here. Chapter 312, The Dragon God is Here. In Shi Yu's ruined space. After fighting for 3 days and 3 nights, Shi Yu and the others had already killed countless sea beasts. During this period, countless sea beasts entered. Among them, the commander-level test of Buggy, Kai Tong, and Baby Ginseng was relatively easy. No sea beast could force them to use their full strength. Shi Yu easily won the tests below the transcendent level. The only ones who felt a little uncomfortable were Susu and 11. Some commander-level sea beasts. Susu had to rely on the power of the time fruit to win. Although the power activated each time was not much, it was very tiring to be unable to withstand it many times. As for 11, it was purely because it had encountered too many powerful sea beasts. Under commander rank, no matter how strong it was, it wouldn't be that strong. It basically hadn't cultivated super skills. However, the upper and lower limit of monarch-level sea beasts was too big. Some monarch-level sea beasts had just broken through. Their super racial skill proficiency was only at entry level, proficient, or just proficient. They were very weak. However, some monarch-level sea beasts couldn't be said to be the younger generation. They had already trained their super skills to an extremely close to perfect proficiency. They were just short of breaking through to the overlord level. If the skill proficiency was divided into numbers, entry level was 1, proficiency was 2, expert level was 4, and perfection was 16. The closer a super racial skill was to a perfect monarch, the more terrifying its strength would be. It might be several times the battle power of a weaker monarch. There was basically no weak sea beast like this, so every time they fought, 11 had to explode and explode. Compared to Buggy and the others who could easily deal with the test, 11 was simply teary-eyed. It would overload every time. After 3 days, even if Shi Yu had prepared a bunch of recovery methods in advance, it was straining. Fortunately, most of the sea beasts here were water element, and they were still countered by 11. Moreover, no beast tamer gave them strengthening talent. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for 11 to maintain a perfect victory. Therefore, 11 should be the one to collect the most gains this time. It was mainly because 11 had yet to reach the peak of the monarch level. The proficiency of super skills was still not high, and it wasn't even proficient yet, so there was still a lot of room for growth. It purely relied on high-level races plus a pile of low-level, mid-level, and high-level racial skills to survive. The battle experience gained this time was not something Buggy and the others could compare to. Ah! No more? In the ruined space, after sending away another red prawn, Shi Yu and the others waited for the next candidate. However, a minute passed this time. No next candidate came in for a long time. Shi Yu calculated the time. It had been 3 days, and the Dragon Palace banquet was almost over. Although it was tiring this time, the gains were indeed not small. Among the sea beasts that entered, Shi Yu even discovered 3 sea beasts that had mastered the Overlord's will. Unfortunately, these 3 had all reached the monarch level. Otherwise, if it was a transcendent or even a commander rank, he would definitely directly abduct it. It would be a second team. Shiyu had long started to have the intention of nurturing the second team. But thinking about it carefully, apart from a will reincarnation like Susu, it was indeed not easy to master the Overlord's will at a low level. Below the monarch level, the highest batch of wills Shiyu had seen was only medium level. He had never encountered anyone with Overlord will. On the other hand, among the group of ocean overlords in Dragon Palace City, there were several Overlord-level sea beasts with Overlord will. It seemed that the will of the Dragon Mom and the Gem Cat was indeed on the side that was weaker. "There's really no one else," Shiyu muttered. 11. Baby Ginseng, and the others shrunk and rested. So be it. However, what was with this overly quiet and oppressive atmosphere? "I'll go out and take a look," Shiyu shouted at 11 and the others before leaving the ruined space. At the Dragon Palace banquet venue, Shiyu had just come out when he suddenly fell silent. Because he suddenly realized that the outside world seemed to be equally silent. Although most of the ocean forces were still around, every life form seemed to be looking at the sky in awe, not daring to breathe. Even the Sea Dragon King Totem looked at the sky with respect. Shiyu also subconsciously looked over and saw a humanoid figure in an ancient white dress. She had fair skin and dazzling white hair that naturally fell down, like a sparkling sea waterfall under the light. Her expression was emotionless, as if she was a high and mighty god overlooking everyone. When Shiyu saw the complicated white dragon horns on her head and the green and white dragon ball the size of a glass ball on her forehead, his heart immediately skipped a beat. He understood why no one suddenly went in to take the test. "Lord Dragon God! You're finally awake!" Upon seeing this, the Sea Dragon King's expression turned to joy. At the side, the Ice Dragon was a little silent with an obedient expression. Although it was a senior and might even have more experience than the Dragon God of Dragon Palace City, this was a world where strength was respected. Facing the Sea Dragon King and the others, it could still pretend, but facing a half-god, a powerful existence who controlled Dragon Palace City, it couldn't not be obedient. Half-gods fighting ordinary totems was like a mother fighting her daughter. Demigod, yes, it was the legendary beast tamers in history. As for ordinary totems, they were label-titled legends. The two were not of the same level. Emperor Wu contracted 9 totems with pretty good strength, and together with their top-notch fusion talent, although it could suppress a half-god like Yunnan, it was still beaten by the other party in the end. From this, one could see the power of a half-god. Chapter 313, The Dragon God is Here, 1. Chapter 313 The Dragon God is Here, 1. Yes. The Dragon Palace City's Dragon God floated in midair. Not only did it attract the attention of all the sea beasts, but it also shocked and silenced Yu Shu and the others in the human area. Shit, shit, shit. Wasn't the Dragon Palace banquet usually presided over only by a totem? Why did the Dragon God of Dragon Palace City run out? They glanced at Shiyu, who had also just come out of the ruins, and immediately felt a chill in their hearts. Could it be that Shiyu had caused a huge commotion at the Dragon Palace banquet and woke the Dragon God? Ah, it was over. Shiyu was going to die. Similarly, the Gem Cat, who was calling a group of Overlord sisters and eating and drinking, was also guilty for a moment when it saw the appearance of the Dragon Palace City's Dragon God. After all, it had just finished gossiping about the relationship history of the Dragon God with Shiyu. Lord Dragon God. After the Sea Dragon King finished greeting, countless sea beasts spoke respectfully. Many devout believers knelt down to worship. In the face of these voices, the Dragon God in the form of a Dragoness did not pay too much attention. Instead, she looked at Shiyu, who had just come out of the ruins. Shiyu? Is the Dragon Palace banquet over? The Dragon God's gaze stopped on Shiyu for a moment before she asked the Sea Dragon King. It's over, the Sea Dragon King immediately said. Even if it wasn't over, it was over now. Listening to the Dragon God's instructions was the most important. Well, then let them go back and reflect on themselves, the Dragon God said. Many sea overlords were shocked. The expressions of the Dragon Palace City elites who were discussing how they had lasted for a few seconds in Shiyu's hands gradually froze. Holy shit! The Dragon God! When did she come? What did she hear? Many heirs of Dragon Palace City's overlord couldn't sit still. Apart from the human and the ice dragon totem, everyone else, disperse. Then, let's get down to business. After instructing the Sea Dragon King, she looked at the Frost Dragon. There had to be something important for the Dragon Kings to awaken the Dragon God in seclusion. The reason why she was awakened this time was because of the Blue Sea Sprite reincarnation body and the addition of the Ice Dragon Totem. In her eyes, the Dragon Palace banquet was not important at all. In fact, the reincarnation of the Blue Sea Sprite was not important in the eyes of the Dragon God. She looked at the Ice Dragon. At the moment, what concerned her the most was the Ice Dragon Totem that followed the Time Emperor. Ice Dragon, who? Asterisk. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Yes. Upon hearing the Dragon God's instructions, the Sea Dragon King immediately glared at the many ocean overlords. These ocean overlords directly took their leave listlessly. Tyrannical Sea, you should leave with them first. Ice Dragon, and I will take care of Shiyu. The Dragon God must have something to say to him. Upon hearing the Sea Dragon King's telepathy, the tyrannical sea legend was expressionless and didn't say anything. Since the Dragon God didn't plan to let him stay, he would take Yu Shu and the others back to Heaven Green Island. As for whether Shiyu would be in any danger, he shouldn't be. After all, in the subsequent totem battles, the Dragon God was an ally who helped Dong Huang. If it weren't for the Dragon God, even if Dong Huang still existed, it wouldn't have grown so smoothly. It could be said that the significance of the Dragon God to Dong Huang far exceeded that of any titled legend. A moment later, only the Dragon God, the Sea Dragon King, the Ice Dragon, and Shiyu were left on the huge Dragon Banquet Island. The Gemcat also left with the tyrannical sea legend and the others. On the island, Shiyu sensed the awkward atmosphere and thought about how to cozy up to Senior Dragon God. After all, this person could be said to be the top big boss and rich lady in the entire blue planet. A ceiling-level figure. Shiyu thought for a moment. Perhaps among the women he knew, only the legend leader in Tingxiang, the one in the Seven Islands, could compare. Lord Dragon God, do you want to see Lord Blue Sea Sprite's reincarnation? The Sea Dragon King asked the Dragon God. The Dragon God glanced at Shiyu and shook her head. We'll talk about the Blue Sea Sprite reincarnation later. I'll leave it to you to nurture it. There's no need to ask for my opinion if the Abyss Sea doesn't come out. Yes, the Sea Dragon King immediately said. It knew that the Dragon God would respond this way. Since controlling the Dragon Palace City, apart from cultivation, this Dragon God basically didn't care about the affairs of the Dragon Palace City. Now, as expected, even the reincarnation of the Blue Sea Sprite didn't matter much. However, those Overlord heirs could actually make the Dragon God rebuke them and reflect. Looks like their negative energy made the Dragon God speechless. The Sea Dragon King muttered in its heart. Senior Ice Dragon. After speaking to the Sea Dragon King, the Dragon God looked at the Ice Dragon. This honorific melted the ice and snow on the Ice Dragon's body. The Ice Dragon hurriedly smiled in embarrassment and said, Lord Dragon God is too polite, too polite. I can't be called a senior. I heard that you followed the Time Emperor. Is that true? The Ice Dragon's heart skipped a beat. It cursed Shiyu for digging a hole for it. It said, sort of. I have indeed fought a few battles with Emperor Shi, but most of the time, it's protecting the #1 general under Emperor Shi, the Ice Dragon General Mu Huiyin. The Dragon God smiled and said, I've heard that Emperor Shi used the power of the space-time dragon vein to travel through time to the Totem era tens of thousands of years ago. I wonder if it's true. This Ice Dragon was stunned. It didn't know. Where did she hear about this? Even if there was, it was probably after they retired and went home. In any case, during the Totem battle, Emperor Shi had basically been fighting beside him. Shiyu was also at a loss. Emperor Shi had transmigrated through time and gone to the Totem era? This, I've indeed never heard of it, but Emperor Shi has studied the past and the future. This indeed exists. Is that so? The Dragon God couldn't help but show a regretful expression when she heard that Ice Dragon didn't know either. At this moment, Shiyu was still wondering why the dragon god kept him here, since she didn't care about the blue sea sprite. However, in the next moment, he understood. The dragon god then turned to Shiyu and said, "Are you very knowledgeable about the cracking of the ruined space?" Shiyu, this? Sort of. I've indeed cracked a few ruined spaces. The dragon god nodded and said, "Since ancient times, you're the first human to be able to communicate with the blue sea ruins. Human, I want to entrust you with something to help me do." "What is it?" Shiyu was stunned. "I know of a spatial dragon vein. Legend has it that the spatial dragon vein is the habitat of the mythical creature, the Time Sprite. Every spatial dragon vein has a spatial ruin that has the power to transcend time. I want you to help me find and crack the spatial ruins." The dragon god looked at Shiyu and said, "I want to use the power of the space-time dragon vein to return to 1,000 years ago." Chapter 314, Black Hand from the Mythical Era. Chapter 314, Black Hand from the Mythical Era. This. After the dragon god finished speaking, the Ice Dragon King and the Sea Dragon King were shocked. Especially Ice Dragon. No wonder the dragon god suddenly asked if Emperor Sha had transmigrated. So the dragon god also wanted to transmigrate through time? 1,000 years ago? It seemed to be the node for the rise of the Dragon Emperor after the collapse of the Empress dynasty and hundreds of years of chaos. This? Shiyu also completely didn't expect that the dragon god wanted him to stay behind because she wanted to entrust him to help crack the ruins. Almost instantly, Shiyu recalled the gossip between Teacher Cat and him that day. The dragon god was Dragon Emperor Long Qingyun's soulmate. However, both parties couldn't be together due to race and other reasons. After that, the dragon god, who was a divine dragon of the heavenly sea, even began to study its bloodline in a bid to change its race. In the end, it evolved into a humanoid dragon-type dragon-life dragon girl. However, although the dragon god succeeded, the dragon emperor died for some reason. Could it be that the dragon god wanted to return to 1,000 years ago to find the dragon emperor? Shiyu immediately imagined love that crossed 1,000 years in his mind. How nice. Shiyu immediately felt speechless. If it's to explore ruins, I might be able to give it a try. However, I can't guarantee success. The spatial ruin mentioned by the dragon god should be a mythical ruin. The blue sea sprite could already be considered high level in the blue sea ruins transmitted from the various seas of the blue planet. As for the mythical ruins, their levels were even higher. They were all ruins left behind from the mythical era. They weren't that easy to come into contact with. It's all right. After failing for so long, I don't mind failing again. In any case, I don't have much confidence in you, the dragon god said. Shiyu? This person also knew how to go at people? Go to the ruins yourself. Can I take the liberty to ask what you want to do when you return to 1,000 years ago? Shiyu couldn't suppress his curiosity and asked. If she only went to date, Shiyu felt that cracking this ruin would be very boring. The dragon god glanced at Shiyu and said, I want to do something. Everyone. Who didn't know that it was to do something? What else could it be? Tourism? I want to verify something. I want to kill a certain mythical life form. The green and white dragon ball on her forehead lit up, and her beautiful hair fluttered. As soon as she finished speaking, Sea Dragon and Ice Dragon were shocked. Shiyu was also shocked. Wasn't she going to date? Mythical life form? Could it be that there are still living mythical lives? Shiyu hurriedly asked. When it came to mythical life forms, including the previous Time Sprite, he was instantly not sleepy. This was much more exciting than the Dragon Emperor's love history. To be precise, it's a mythical remnant soul. The dragon god said calmly. Ah. Woo? Myth? The Sea Dragon King, Ice Dragon, and Shiyu immediately turned into spectators. Before Long Qingyun rose, he had once obtained the recognition of a dragon mythical ruin. He also relied on this mythical ruin to lead to the legendary domain. Shiyu and the others knew about the description of the dragon god. In history, the Dragon Emperor was completely known as the Son of Luck. It was said that he had endless good luck in his life. In the beginning, this dragon tribe mythical ruins was the start of all good luck. This ruin made him grow into a legendary emperor comparable to Emperor Shi, Emperor Wu, and the Empress as an ordinary person with a very common strengthening talent. After all, Emperor Shi's time talent, the top-notch fusion talent of Emperor Wu, and the Empress's Phoenix bloodline were all top-notch powers. However, the Dragon Emperor was different. His strengthening talent was too common. Even in the Icefield High School where Shi Yu graduated, there were many types. Without special luck, it was indeed very difficult for such a beast-taming talent to grow into a legendary beast-tamer. Of course, it was very difficult for powerful talent to grow without a certain amount of luck. For example, although the first-generation principal of the Imperial Capital University also had a time talent, in the end, he only cultivated the prediction owl. He is indeed a person with great luck, but this luck also has a price. In this mythical ruins, a dragon soul from the mythical era is sleeping. The dragon god said, the mythical ruins only acknowledged Long Qingyun as their master under the interference of this dragon soul. And the goal is to use Long Qingyun's power to nurture dragon sacrifices to revive it. The Dragon Emperor and his 9 great beasts you mentioned died under the possession of the dragon soul. After the dragon god finished speaking, the Sea Dragon King and the Ice Dragon opened their mouths wide. This was the first time they knew such a thing. After all, the legend didn't record the cause of the Dragon Emperor's death at all. "Where's that dragon soul?" Shi Yu asked. The dragon god said, "It's what I want to verify." Long Qingyun discovered a certain conspiracy hidden in this mythical ruins a long time ago, so he wasn't surprised by the arrival of this day. He even made many preparations. Why did you still use this mythical ruins when you discovered it early and nurture pets according to the resources and information provided by the ruins? Ice Dragon asked. The dragon god said, he said that even if this power was destined to have a price, he had a reason to use this power in that totem world. Otherwise, with his own power, he couldn't end the totem world at that time. After realizing the possibility of the mastermind behind the mythical ruins, he was already prepared to deal with all changes. Chapter 315, Black Hand from the Mythical Era, 1. Chapter 315 Black Hand from the Mythical Era, 1. In order to not affect the Dong Huang dynasty that had just recovered peace, he even chose to deal with it alone. I don't know the final outcome. I only know that Long Qingyun died, but I can't confirm the final outcome of that mythical remnant soul. Perhaps Long Qingyun killed it, or perhaps Long Qingyun sealed it again, or maybe it successfully escaped. But what's certain is that the mythical remnant soul didn't successfully possess Long Qingyun and his pet. But no matter which it is, I want to personally return to the past to verify it. At that time, I didn't have the strength to assist him, but now, my strength should be stronger than any of his companions. After the dragon god finished speaking, she observed Shi Yu again and said, "But your strength seems to be a little weak. With your current strength, without my protection, I'm afraid you can't move freely in the power of the dragon vein." Ah. There's still time. There's a chaotic spatial tide in the core of the space-time dragon vein. At this stage, even demigods can't come into contact with it. It's a forbidden zone for life. Only at a specific time will the spatial tide recover its stability. At that time, it's the only chance to enter the core area of the space-time dragon vein. Since you've agreed to explore the space-time dragon vein with me, quickly increase your strength before you can enter. It's best to reach the legendary level. When the time is right, I'll look for you. Ah, the current Shi Yu was like the group of little sharks that had been beaten up by him. He stopped thinking. After hearing so much from the dragon god, he suddenly calmed down and regretted a little. Although exploring mythical spatial ruins was a fatal attraction to Shi Yu, it did sound very dangerous. He was a noob. Could he do this? However, since it wasn't a request for him to go right now, Shi Yu could still accept it. At this moment, Ice Dragon and Sea Dragon were completely numb. So that was how the Dragon Emperor, the Son of Destiny, died. It turned out that the mythical ruins the Dragon Emperor had obtained had a remnant soul from the mythical era. Since you can torment Dragon Palace City to this state, it means that your talent potential is not bad. Even the blue sea sprite was contracted by you. With your potential, it should be very easy for you to become a legendary beast tamer. Help me explore the spatial ruins. Whether it succeeds or not, I'll pay you enough. I can give you some help now to help you increase your realm as soon as possible. Sea Dragon King, in the report previously, you once said that a pet he contracted absorbed the dragon god's Dragon Ball. Right? Yes, replied the Sea Dragon King. The dragon god nodded and looked at Xiaoyu. If I didn't hear wrongly before, your pet grasps the power of illusion. Moreover, it can also rely on various dragon element power to strengthen itself. Before coming out, the dragon god had heard a lot of descriptions of Buggy from the young cubs of Dragon Palace City. For example, summoning an extremely realistic ice dragon phantom. For example, releasing dragon might at once. For example, suddenly becoming a dragon. Or perhaps it was still a butterfly form, but it had obtained the dragon attribute in an instant. Its physical fitness was even more terrifying than the dragon attribute. Through these, it was not difficult for the dragon god to determine that Buggy had mastered the power of illusions and could strengthen itself with the power of the dragon of imagination. Can you summon it and let me take a look? All right. Xiaoyu never expected that the first thing the dragon god wanted to see was not Susu, but Buggy. Xiaoyu quickly summoned Buggy. In the next moment, accompanied by an empty ripple, Buggy, which had shrunk to the size of a palm and was recovering its strength, appeared in the outside world. After coming out, Buggy looked at the noble dragon god and was immediately cautious, not daring to say a word. It was a super big boss. Show me the ability you displayed to the Sea Dragon King back then. The dragon god looked at the little blue butterfly. Buggy, Xiaoyu instructed again. Woo! Buggy immediately nodded. In the next moment, a huge dragon-shaped body covered in blue and white dragon scales kept condensing, floating and circling behind Buggy. Roar, then, with a roar from the divine dragon, it instantly flew towards Buggy and fused into its body. At this moment, Buggy's strength directly changed, and its aura increased greatly. Skill of Dragon of Imagination. Level, Super Level. Introduction. It's a combination of spiritual, spatial, and dragon skills. Through the power of imagination, it can transform its physique into the body of a divine dragon. It has true attributes, physique, energy, life force, and dragon might that are comparable to dragons. It's an ability to compare to and surpass dragons. As expected, at the same time, the dragon god saw this scene and understood everything. Her white finger pointed at Buggy. In the next moment, Buggy immediately became huge. The divine dragon phantom on its body was ejected and wrapped around Buggy's back again. Buggy was shocked. Under its observation, the characteristics and colors of the divine dragon it imagined began to quickly disappear. Soon, it became an illusory divine dragon that was almost gray. After understanding the characteristics of this skill, the dragon god said, "Not a bad skill. This is an evolution skill." Through the power of imagination, it simulates the power of the divine dragon and then transforms the power of the divine dragon into its own power. When trained to perfection, it can evolve into a dragon and break through the limit of the skill. It will surpass the dragon and reach the extreme, walking its own path. The dragon god's words reveal the nature of the dragon skill of imagination, making Xiaoyu nod. The most important thing about this skill is to make up for its racial flaw through the racial merits of the dragons. The imaginary divine dragon phantom core is equivalent to an empty shell. It's extremely malleable. The process of increasing skill proficiency is the process of filling this shell through different divine dragon advantages. Its real training method shouldn't be limited to one dragon for its imagination. Even dragons have their own racial advantages according to their race. If you want to train this skill to the extreme, you have to imagine and absorb the merits of many dragons. The stronger and more divine dragons you visualize, the faster the skill proficiency increases, and the higher the upper limit of the skill you can reach. It's not much different from what I thought in that case. I'll let you visualize the wills of the past dragon gods in the Dragon Palace City's Dragon God ruins. The dragon god made a decision. When she finished speaking, the Sea Dragon King was shocked. Xiaoyu was also stunned. The dragon god continued, if I remember correctly, compared to using cultivation resources to meditate, the fastest way for human beast tamers to increase their strength after stepping into your level should be to increase their own level through the increase in the strength of their pets. If you can visualize the figures of the past dragon gods, its path of advancement will be very clear and fast. In this way, under its lead, you can also guarantee that you can quickly advance to legendary. After the dragon's words fell, at the side, Buggy was completely stunned. Then, it was even a little touched. Weren't the generations of dragon gods in Dragon Palace City all demigod-level dragons? Could it visualize them all? If it imagined them, even if each illusion only had 1/10,000th of their power, how strong would its dragon of imagination become? At this moment, Buggy, who had returned to its junior position in the team, suddenly saw an incomparably dazzling path. If it weren't for the ice dragon already, it would have to acknowledge another mother. Chapter 316, Returning to the Dong Huang. Chapter 316, Returning to the Dong Huang. Dragon Palace City. On an island located deep in the mystic realm of Dragon Palace City, Dragon God Island. With a thought from the dragon god, a violent wind wrapped around Shiyu, Buggy, Ice Dragon, and Sea Dragon King. When they reacted again, they had already appeared on a wide land. What entered their eyes was a huge rock ruin that looked like a mountain range. When the dragon god decided to let Buggy visualize the figure of the dragon god's will, she teleported Shiyu and the others over with a thought. This. Woo! After being teleported over, Ice Dragon was shocked. Was this the dragon god ruins? On the island, there was an endless mountain that stretched out like a dragon's back, filling the vast land. In every mountain, under the lingering white mist, there were ghost-like statues. They were lifelike divine dragons. Just from their appearance, they emitted an earth-shattering domineering aura, as if they were ancient gods sleeping in ruins, waiting to wake up at any time. Just looking at the stone statues themselves, they even felt stronger than overlords like cats. After Shiyu and Buggy arrived, they looked at the dragon god stones one after another and gulped. Senior Dragon God, is this the statue of the will of the past dragon gods? Shiyu asked. Woo! Buggy's eyes lit up. To be precise, it's the will of the past dragon gods who were willing to leave their traces. The dragon god said, these stone statues were all left behind by the former dragon gods in order to let the future descendants of the dragon race who came to the dragon god ruins see their heroic bearing. When the dragon sense and look at the stone statues with all their might, they can hallucinate and see their former power. In the end, they're just a bunch of guys who show off too much. Although it's not a dragon, your pet can temporarily transform itself into a dragon through that skill. It shouldn't be a problem to visualize it. Hearing the current dragon god's evaluation of the previous dragon god who had left behind the will statue, the Sea Dragon King was stunned, but it seemed that it really made sense. There was no rule that forced the dragon god to leave a will statue in the dragon god ruins. For example, the current dragon god didn't carve her own stone statue. However, these wills looked really handsome. The Sea Dragon King sighed. When it first came to the dragon god ruins, it had almost looked at them one by one, and its knowledge increased. In its opinion, the dragon god represented by every stone statue here was stronger than its master's black dragon. At the thought of this, the Sea Dragon King gritted its teeth. It was clearly not much worse than the black dragon. In the end, because it wasn't a female, and because the divine feather butterfly wasn't a female, it wasn't contracted. When remembering that the 9 pets Lin Feng had contracted were all female, the Sea Dragon King felt a wave of hatred. Why wasn't it a female? Why did beast tamers still favor girls over boys? Senior Dragon God, why is there a broken dragon god statue there? As Shiyu observed, he suddenly discovered a blind spot and saw the statue of the dragon god's will that had been smashed into pieces. That? The dragon god looked over and said, that's the statue of the previous dragon god. I didn't like it much, so I smashed it. Shiyu, Buggy, and Ice Dragon. Next, the dragon god ruins will be open to you. If you have needs, you can come at any time. Unfortunately, your pet is not a totem and can't enter the interior of the ruin space. Otherwise, you can gain more. Forget it. The dragon god said, Senior Ice Dragon is at the totem level and can enter the interior of the ruins to accept the trial of the ruins. As for you and this butterfly, you should visualize these statues of the dragon gods will outside. However, although they're just dead things, the ones who left them are, after all, the previous dragon gods. Your pet's strength is still too weak. During the visualization process, it might cause a huge burden on its body and mind, so be mentally prepared. Of course, if you can successfully visualize them, it should have a good effect on its will tempering. Woo! What? When it heard that visualizing the statue of the dragon gods will had side effects that could also temper the will, Buggy's eyes immediately lit up. There was such a good thing? Not only could it train the dragon of imagination skill, but it could also train the overlord's will. This was a win-win situation. Yes, I'll make it pay attention, Shiyu replied. At the same time, Ice Dragon asked eagerly, Lord Dragon God, can I just go directly to the trial of the Dragon God ruins? Didn't the Sea Dragon King say before that there was a need to carry out some joining ceremony? It only joined after swearing in the ruins under the witness of you and the many Dragon Kings. The Dragon God said, forget about formalism, just go in. When the time comes, let the Sea Dragon King inform the various Dragon Kings and let them know. Ah, this. Ice Dragon didn't expect it to be so simple. All right. Seeing that the Dragon God was so casual, the Sea Dragon King nodded speechlessly. Speaking of which, the last time it joined Dragon Palace City, the Dragon God seemed to have only sent a clone to deal with it. In any case, it felt that it didn't look like its real body. That's all I have to say. After instructing, the Dragon God looked at the Dragon God ruins and then at Shiyu. She didn't continue speaking. After taking 2 slow steps, he disappeared in front of everyone. Seeing this, the Sea Dragon King revealed an envious gaze at Shiyu. I think the Dragon God Island and the Dragon God ruins can only be accessed if you pass through Lord Dragon God's chambers. Generally, without special circumstances, even the Dragon Kings can't come over casually. You're very lucky. You're one of the few humans who came to the Dragon God ruins, and you can actually come over to visualize the will statues of the Dragon Gods. With its skill, maybe you can really have a big harvest. The Dragon God's judgment is definitely not wrong. Has anyone else been here? Shiyu asked curiously. I heard that the Dragon Emperor also came 1,000 years ago. I'm not sure about the ones before and after. In short, you have to grasp this opportunity. The Sea Dragon King's gaze was complicated. It didn't expect that Shiyu could actually be thought of highly by the Dragon God. Therefore, in the end, it was its son who wasn't worthy of Shiyu. After all, it would be fine if Shiyu only had one outstanding pet, Susu. The key was that every one of them was so outstanding. The Sea Dragon King sighed. By the way, it's about what was mentioned last time. Senior Ice Dragon, after you enter the interior of the ruins, you can carefully search for the will of the Sea Serpent Dragon. Inside the ruins, at some special checkpoints, most of the Dragon Gods also left traces of their own existence. Ah, all right. Ice Dragon nodded and looked at Shiyu and Buggy. But you guys are visualizing this now, so you shouldn't be in a hurry to find clues related to the Dragon Ball, right? There's no hurry, Shiyu replied. That's good. Ice Dragon said. Cough, I think I should prepare to go to the Dragon God ruins again. I'm not ready yet. After all, it was a trial-type ruin. Although it could have huge gains, it was probably not simple. The Ice Dragon planned to stabilize itself and recuperate for a while. At least, it could stabilize its totem power first. After all, it had just broken through not long ago. Then can we start? At this moment, Shiyu rubbed his fists. He wondered if observing the will statues of the previous Dragon Gods could let Buggy's will reach medium willpower. If possible, he would really make a killing. Woo! Perfect proficiency, evolution into a dragon! Buggy shouted in anticipation. It still felt that the butterfly's body was too weak and needed to evolve again. You have a lot of ideas. Shiyu curled his lips. However, its body strength was inferior to 11, its life force was inferior to baby ginseng, and it couldn't become stronger like Kai Tong. Its affinity for the power of nature was also inferior to an elemental life form like Susu. The worm-type creatures were indeed miserable, and it was at the extreme opposite of the dragon race. Generally speaking, when bugs had the advantage in nature, they basically used the worm-C strategy and relied on numbers to win. However, although that was the case, Shiyu still reminded Buggy. Proficiency is secondary, and evolution into a dragon is also secondary. What you need to do is train your willpower. As long as your willpower is strong enough, your race can be ignored. Even if you're still a green worm, you can still kill dragons. In short, although these dragon gods are strong, you don't have to pursue imitating their power too much. After visualizing their power, just strive to walk your own path. Strong will is the foundation. As long as it had the Overlord's will. Once the super skill was maxed out, the green silkworm could also become a demigod. Or myth. At that time, a strand of silk could instantly kill everything. In short, give yourself the thought that even if you're a green silkworm, you can defeat the dragon god and visualize it, Shiyu said telepathically. Woo! Buggy was shocked. It sounded good, but was this scientific? Forget it, Shiyu wasn't scientific in the first place. It was definitely right to listen to Shiyu. 3 days later. As they had to wait for Shiyu, after the Dragon Palace banquet ended, Tyrannical Sea Legend and the others had yet to leave Dragon Palace City. This also gave Yin Jingfan and the others more time to find their favorite pet. At this stage, apart from White Brook, all the young people who came to Dragon Palace City had contracted their favorite pets. It wasn't that the beast-eared girl didn't have a chance, but she was actually still thinking about the iron-eating beast. It was mainly because she had a water-type pet. Compared to another one, White Brook still liked the 9-Li battle beast and wanted to be a panda mother. What exactly did Shiyu do? After basically everyone contracted their pets, Yu Shu and the others began to do nothing on Green Sky Island. They wanted to know what exactly Shiyu had been pulled by the dragon god for. At the thought that not only could Shiyu be chosen by Ice Dragon, but he could also be chosen by the dragon god now, they were envious and jealous. Green Sky Island. The few people who were free often fought in pairs. For example, Yu Shu went against Yin Zhengfan and fought several times in the past 2 days. After subduing the new dragon pet and awakening a super skill, Yu Shu's battle power increased greatly. He naturally wanted to challenge this young genius who he couldn't defeat in the vocation assessment again. As for Shiyu, he had completely given up on chasing after him. Yo, you guys are dueling? Boom! On the arena, Yu Shu's ancient seahorse and Yin Zhengfan's desert monarch were colliding. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared nearby through instant transmission. Shiyu and the worm on his shoulder looked at Yu Shu and Yin Zhengfan in the battle. Shiyu? Shiyu? Seeing Shiyu suddenly appear after disappearing for 3 days, Yu Shu and Yin Zhengfan were stunned. Yu Shu almost subconsciously said, "Why were you called by the dragon god?" Shiyu scratched his cheek. Was this something he could tell him casually? The dragon god saw that I bullied the younger generation of Dragon Palace City too ruthlessly and called me over to beat me up. Woo! Buggy cried. The past dragon gods had beaten it up. Who? Upon hearing Shiyu's words, Yu Shu and Yin Zhengfan were stunned. No one would believe Shiyu. They looked at Shiyu's smile. How could he smile so brightly after being beaten? Hey, you're back. Not long after Shiyu returned to Clear Sky Island, the Gem Cat also ran over with an instant transmission. It wasn't very puzzled. It and the Tyrannical Sea Legend had already known what Shiyu was doing through the Ice Dragon. How is it? The Gem Cat asked about Shiyu. Thinking about it is much harder than we imagined. It might have to digest for a while before continuing. We plan to prepare for the National League first. Shiyu scratched his head and smiled. I see. All right, let's go back. The Gem Cat nodded. It had indeed stayed in Dragon Palace City for a long time. It was tired of eating fish. Ooh. However, it was quite a pity to leave now. Ice Dragon, this good sister, was too slow. The Gem Cat still wanted to wait for it to see if Ice Dragon could take out some legendary gemstones from the Dragon God ruins. In the end, Ice Dragon didn't dare to enter the Dragon God ruins after a long time. Where was its breakthrough opportunity? Chapter 317, A Big Change in 100 Years. Chapter 317, A Big Change in 100 Years. In Itella. This island had the title of the World Root. It was the habitat of the World Tree, the embodiment of the planet's will, and its guardian. In the center of Initella, on a huge tree that reached the sky, countless small, cylindrical green bugs separated from it. Their forms were very similar to single-cell protozoa grass treadworms, but every one of them was clearly visible with the naked eye. After these green tree bugs separated, they quickly moved in all directions. Their destination seemed to be all over the world. The #1 country in technology, Shenfeng, the country of snow plains that was covered in snow all year round, the country of glory Rongwa that believed in the power of light, the ancient kingdom of Minghua that was covered in undead, the 7 islands of the nation of 10,000 islands. The figure of this green tree worm could be seen even in the country led by the Elven Queen, who was now half human and half elf. And Dong Huang. In a courtyard in the headquarters of the Dong Huang Association, a young man put down his teacup. He looked at the departing figure of the tree worm and then at the endless blue sky. Is this a sign of some kind of disaster? He revealed an aura that didn't match his appearance and age, and a towering tree was gradually reflected in his eyes. East Sea, Dragon Palace City. Tyrannical Sea Legend looked at the 12 young men in front of him and nodded. This trip to Dragon Palace City could be considered a perfect end. Prime Minister Turtle, there's no need to send me off. Then, the Tyrannical Sea Legend looked at the Tortoise Prime Minister who was holding a banner beside him. It's all right, it's all right. Have a safe trip, everyone, the Turtle Prime Minister waved the banner. It mainly looked at Shiyu and smiled. Lord Shiyu, come again next time. Yes, yes. Shiyu smiled. Besides, that day wouldn't be far. After all, he was now the Minister of the Environmental Protection Department of Dragon Palace City. Although the Environmental Protection Department was only in the initial stage and the department's operation had yet to enter the right track, it would definitely be used appropriately in the future. Apart from that, the Dragon Palace City Mystic Realm with the Dragon God statue and the Blue Sea Ruins was also closely related to the growth of Buggy and Susu. Tyrannical Sea Legend said to Shiyu and the others, are you all ready? If you are, let's set off. Shiyu, Yushu, and the others nodded. Then, an incomparably huge blue giant leviathan covered in dense white hair was summoned by the Tyrant Sea Legend. The first time was unfamiliar, but the second time was familiar. This time, Shiyu and the others didn't feel uncomfortable being swallowed by the giant leviathan into the body. They quickly returned to the water element world. In the water element world, there was still a huge water screen that allowed everyone to share the giant leviathan's perspective and see the situation outside. However, this time, just as they left Dragon Palace City, Shiyu and the others discovered a strange phenomenon. What's that? Not long after leaving Dragon Palace City, Yushu pointed at the big green fish swimming slowly on the water screen and showed a stunned expression. This green big fish looked very strange. At least in Yushu's impression, he didn't know this kind of sea beast. He wasn't the only one. The others also cast curious expressions before shaking their heads. They didn't know it. There are more underwater creatures than land creatures. It's not surprising that we don't know them. Shiyu realized that there was no information about this guy in the index. It looks pretty nutritious. Green food. This time, without Ice Dragon space, the Gem Cat was also in the Infinite Devour space. It looked at the green fish that had just swam over and said. Everyone grinned. That thing clearly looked like a mutated fish species that had been contaminated. Many young people present didn't know this green fish, but Tyrannical Sea Legend, who had come into contact with some secret legends before. After arriving in the giant Leviathan's inner space, he received the giant Leviathan's feedback and fell into deep thought. By the sea. At the Binhai training hall. When they left Dong Huang, everyone left. When they returned, they naturally returned here. In a huge pool in a room in the Dao field, a deep-sea whirlpool teleported Shi Yu and the others out. "Teacher, you're back." While Shi Yu and the others were still adjusting, the disciple of the Tyrant Sea Legend, the sect master of the Dao field, Zheng Hai, quickly came to welcome them. He looked at the still expressionless teacher, as well as Shi Yu and the others, whose expressions had changed drastically. He knew that the gains from this trip to Dragon Palace City would definitely be pretty good. "Yes." The tyrannical sea legend nodded and said, "Treat them well." With that said, he walked out of the room step by step. At the same time, Zheng Hai looked at Heavenly King Zhu and the others happily. "You've been gone long enough. Did you gain something big? By the way, what pets have you contracted? Tell me." "Overlord dragon species, Black Flood Dragon," Zhu Yun said with a chuckle. "Holy shit." Zheng Hai was shocked. "You really contracted it?" With another new Overlord race divine pet, Heavenly King Zhu would probably be on the trending list again. This time, Heavenly King Zhu was the only one who had contracted a cub of an Overlord race, so he was pretty smug. As for the others, although they had contracted their favorite pets, they were basically all high-level monarch races or quasi-Overlord races. They weren't that lucky. Generally speaking, Overlord races still wouldn't follow people easily. Only beast tamers like Zhu Yun and Lu Qingyi, who were super geniuses themselves, had a chance of being recognized by Overlord creatures. After all, the probability of an Overlord race growing to the Overlord level was very, very high. On the contrary, if humans didn't have the potential to grow to the legendary level, why should an Overlord race ever follow you? Everyone was in a different position. Chapter 318, A Big Change in 100 Years, 1. Chapter 318, A Big Change in 100 Years, 1. Ancient Sea Dragon. Dragon Claw Battle Prawn. Dragon-Eyed Jellyfish. Then, under Zheng Hai's questioning, the others also mentioned what pet they had contracted. However, after asking Shi Yu immediately couldn't answer Zheng Hai. Water Slime. Zheng Hai? He looked at the most talented Shi Yu among the few of them and was stunned. This was a super genius who researched the evolution of the iron-eating beast and the evolution of the green silkworm Overlord race, but he contracted such a thing? Even if he couldn't obtain the recognition of an Overlord race, he had to contract a quasi-Overlord dragon. Slimes were ridiculous. Although it's a slime, it's still pretty strong. Sort of a mutant. Before Shi Yu could finish, Heavenly King Zhu, Yu Shu, and the others hurriedly stopped him. Sect Master Sheng, don't listen to him, Va Sai. That thing can't be called a water slime anymore. Have you seen a water slime that instantly killed the third crown prince of Dragon Palace City, White Azure Dragon, and the shark of an Overlord race? Zheng Hai? Wait. At a private room on the beach. Returning to the ground, the tyrannical sea legend sorted out his gains in Dragon Palace City and took out a communication tool. Dragon Palace City had no signal, so just as he took out his communication tool, Tyrannical Sea Legend saw many messages from Principal Feng and President Yi. They were concerned about Shi Yu's situation. After the Tyrannical Sea Legend returned, he would inform them first. Initially, the Tyrannical Sea Legend was prepared to directly report the situation of Dragon Palace City to the Donghuang chairman. However, when he saw Shi Yu's two recommenders, especially since Shi Yu was an orphan, Principal Feng could be considered half an elder of Shi Yu. The Tyrannical Sea Legend still chose to explain the situation to them first. He opened a group call and called Principal Feng and President Yi at the same time. A moment later, the two of them picked up. A light screen popped up on the Tyrannical Sea Legend's communication device. A three-dimensional holographic projection directly projected the half-figure of Principal Feng and President Yi in mid-air. Legend of the Tyrannical Sea, you're back? Did it go smoothly? After being called by the Tyrannical Sea Legend, Principal Feng and President Yi were stunned. It's pretty smooth. Why did you send me so many messages? Legend Sea Tyrant asked. Principal Feng and President Yi's projections looked at each other and smiled. It's already calmed down now. It's not a big deal. We also sent Shiyu a lot of messages, mainly to ask about your situation in Dragon Palace City. Shiyu, did he contract an impressive existence? The two of them probed. Tyrannical Sea Legend was stunned. How do you know? As expected. What exactly is it? Upon hearing Tyrannical Sea Legend's words, Principal Feng and President Yi's expressions turned solemn. Holy shit, the owl's prophecy was indeed correct. I happen to want to talk to you, said the Tyrannical Sea Legend. Is it a totem reincarnation? Principal Feng and President Yi asked. In Principal Feng and President Yi's opinion, it was impossible for Shiyu to contract a totem with the owl's prophecy. After all, Shiyu was only at the master level. This level was not enough to support him contracting a totem. However, when they thought of Zhongxian in the ruins of the Emperor Wu and remembered that it had already been reincarnated, other totems could also be reincarnated. After analysis, they determined at that time that Shiyu was definitely a reincarnation of a certain totem. This was super big news. However, in fact, they quickly calmed down. When they recalled that Shiyu's iron-eating beast, Butterfly of Imagination, Baby Ginseng, and Sword Spirit were all super overlord races, they were relieved. Even if it was a totem reincarnation, it still wouldn't surpass an overlord race. Its race might not even be as high as Shiyu's pets. They had already been shocked so many times, so there was no need to continue making a fuss. After all, it wasn't a totem at its peak. Growth still required time. Yes. Legend Sea Tyrant nodded, making Principal Feng and President Yi tear up. It's really the totem reincarnation of Dragon Palace City. As expected, Shiyu could surprise them every time. F*CK, this was too ridiculous. Even if it was a totem heir, they would feel better. Contracting a totem reincarnation was ridiculous. Wait, this totem might be different from the totem you imagine, said the Tyrannical Sea Legend. It's not a certain totem Dragon King in Dragon Palace City, nor is it the former totem of Dragon Palace City. Huh? You know the Guardian of the Sea, the blue sea sprite, right? It's a demigod-level ocean elemental sprite that once destroyed the Western Abyss Sea and was born because of the faith of the ocean creatures. To be precise, it shouldn't belong to Dragon Palace City. Shiyu successfully communicated with the Blue Sea ruins in Dragon Palace City and found the reincarnation of the inner sea sprite that didn't appear again in 3,000 years. He successfully contracted it. Principal Feng and President Yi were stunned and couldn't react for a moment. Apart from that, he also established some Ocean Environmental Protection Department with the 4 Dragon Kings of Dragon Palace City through his relationship with the Sea Sprite. He became a minister and befriended 52 ocean overlords, inviting them to become core members of the Environmental Protection Department. Apart from that, he also invited thousands of powerful monarchs and commanders to join. Among them, there was no lack of overlord heirs. Well, the second and third princes of Dragon Palace City also became ordinary members of this Environmental Protection Department. In the past few days, the Dragon Kings of Dragon Palace City, and the overlords have established a preliminary agreement between Dong Huang and Dragon Palace City to further cooperate around this environmental department. Chapter 319, A Big Change in 100 Years, 2. Chapter 319, A Big Change in 100 Years, 2. In short, it's because of these things that we delayed a little. We might be busy next. Legend Sea Tyrant looked at the two of them. At this moment, Principal Feng and President Yi's mouths were already agape. Their eyes were about to pop out as they looked at Tyrannical Sea Legend in disbelief. Holy shit, they shouted in shock. Their brains were a mess. They suspected that the Tyrannical Sea Legend was talking nonsense. The Blue Sea Guardian that hadn't appeared in 3,000 years had been contracted by Shiyu. Shiyu cracked the Blue Sea ruins? And with this relationship, he had plotted against almost the entire Dragon Palace City and become the superior of many ocean overlords. Wait, it was a little messy. Are you sure this isn't another novel? Oh, there are also a few things. The dragon god of Dragon Palace City saw Xiaoyu and seemed to have reached some agreement with Xiaoyu. I'm not sure about the specifics, said the tyrannical sea legend. Apart from that, there's also a mutated poison dragon totem affected by the forbidden radiation that invaded the sea area of Dragon Palace City and was sealed by the Dragon Kings. Its power fluctuations are suspected to be from Yunnan, and this poison dragon totem is said to have come from the direction of the Seven Islands. Aren't you guys looking for Yunnan? Perhaps you can explore in that direction to see if you can gain anything. F*CK? At this moment, Principal Feng and President Yi were completely numb. Dragon God? Yunnan? Poison dragon totem? Was the Dragon Palace banquet so explosive? I'll take my time. Damn, there's been a lot of shocking news recently. President Yi's expression was messy. Why do I feel like a storm is brewing? Did anything else happen recently? Legend Sea Tyrant asked. Principal Feng and President Yi, who had yet to recover from their shock, looked at each other. Then, Principal Feng sighed. Too much. The President has recently issued a notice to the 13 bureaus. Look carefully, you should have received the news too. The World Tree has awakened. Soon, a new world tournament will begin in about a year. Tyrannical Sea Legend was stunned. World competition? He took a deep breath, very surprised. The world tournament was a huge competition between young beast tamers under the age of 30. The champion of the world tournament would obtain the title of World Legend and the blessings of the World Tree. He would almost definitely become a legendary beast tamer. However, the difficulty of this competition was also very terrifying. The title of World Legend required the strongest legend under the age of 30. Basically, only legendary-level beast tamers under the age of 30 had the qualifications to fight for the championship title. If they didn't reach the legendary level, they were equivalent to cannon fodder in the world competition. Dong Huang's last beast tamer, Lin Feng, who had obtained the title of World Legend, had obtained this title by consecutively defeating legendary elites under the age of 30 in the other 6 countries. In the entire Dong Huang, can there be 5 legendary beast tamers under the age of 30? Tyrannical Sea Legend fell into deep thought. Regardless, it's related to the blessings of the World Tree. We have to prepare for battle with all our might. There should still be a period of time. Geniuses like Lu Qingyi and Zhu Yun who haven't grown up will probably receive important support next. Unfortunately, that kid, Xiaoyu, might not be able to make it in time. Principal Feng thought of Xiaoyu, who had contracted 5 powerful overlord races. Xiaoyu's potential was completely not inferior to those super geniuses who became legends under the age of 30 in Dong Huang. He might even surpass them, but the date of the world tournament was so uncertain. It would begin in a year. Although Xiaoyu's growth speed was already very fast, the hope of him becoming a legendary beast tamer in a year was almost zero. Otherwise, this would almost definitely become a legendary opportunity. No matter what profession a beast tamer was, be it archaeology or feeding, they were all very worth competing for. This competition concerned the fate of the country. Until now, there had been no sign of the next legendary beast tamer appearing in Dong Huang. Therefore, this world competition was very important to Dong Huang, or to every country. This is indeed a big deal. Legend Sea Tyrant fell into deep thought again. Principal Feng smiled bitterly and said, if that's all, perhaps President Yi wouldn't be so worried. It said that the rules of this world tournament might be a little different from the previous ones. Ooh? It said that the envoy of the World Tree of Initiation not only informed the Seven Nation Alliance, but also went to many totem countries. If I'm not wrong, this world tournament might turn into a world battle to compete for the blessings of the World Tree, divided into multiple camps. Perhaps the human beast tamers of the totem countries can also participate. If that's the case, it's too chaotic. Indeed, the World Tree has never been just the guardian of the Seven Nation Alliance. As soon as Principal Feng finished speaking, the expression of the tyrannical sea legend immediately changed. In history, the competition between the 7 countries in the world competition was already tragic. If the Totem faction joined, it would probably be impossible to end every battle without determining life and death. Just by listening, he could already imagine the tragic world battle scene. "What do you think, President?" Legend C asked. "The country will organize the sequence battle and choose 10 young beast tamers under the age of 30 to participate in the world tournament. Beast tamers can freely register. If nothing goes wrong, this news will be announced soon. At that time, be it the National League or the Heavenly King tournament, all the domestic competitions will become the foil for this competition." It said that in order to respond and publicize the world tournament, there will also be some changes in the rules of the National League. It's indeed a storm that's about to happen. Even a huge change that hasn't happened in 100 years. The tyrannical sea legend was solemn. The World Tree was the embodiment of the planet's will. It was said that only when Blue Planet was threatened would it awaken. An existence that could be regarded as a threat by Blue Planet. Even a demigod had no right. As for the Blue Sea Sprite, it was the guardian of the sea. It also chose to follow humans at this time. Although the level of the Blue Sea Sprite was very far from the World Tree, when these things collided, it was indeed very easy for people to feel that a big event was about to happen. Chapter 320, World Trees Game. Chapter 320 World Trees Game. At the Binhai Training Hall. After Shi Yu and the others returned, Zheng Hai, the sect master of the Binhai Training Hall, immediately welcomed them. No matter what, he had to treat Shi Yu and the others in the venue before letting them leave. Shi Yu and the others didn't mind a meal, so they naturally agreed. Moreover, after returning, they had yet to officially thank the escort of the tyrannical sea legend. A.S. Dragon Palace City was in the deep sea. Even if it was a top-notch master proficient in water element, it was very difficult to go to Dragon Palace City alone. Therefore, the escort of the tyrant sea legend was quite necessary. "When can your other pets break through to the monarch level?" In the hall, White Brook whispered to Shi Yu. During this trip to Dragon Palace City, although the batch of beast tamers accompanying them had not seen many battle scenes regarding Shi Yu, judging from Shi Yu's battle results, it was already very terrifying. After fighting the sea beasts of the Dragon Palace for 3 days and 3 nights, he maintained a complete victory. Even if he had sufficient replenishment, it was an unimaginable battle result. In addition to the shock of the iron-eating beast crushing the second prince of Dragon Palace City, basically no one treated Shi Yu as a normal master. Therefore, White Brook immediately became restless. Her goal was the throne of the champion of the National League. Shi Yu from Ancient Capital University was with her. She felt that it was all right. But there shouldn't be a need for the National League, right? Shi Yu muttered. There was 11 in the solo battle, and there was the time fruit in the team battle. What was there to be afraid of? Don't look down on Jiao Xian. He's not the Thunder Dragon Crown Prince that you can restrain. Mechanics are the most sinister. Even if he doesn't have forbidden weapons, he still has various methods. We gotta be more stable, White Brook said. Don't forget, he has been focused on upgrading the ultimate holy dragon beast. There are still a few contract spots that he hasn't contracted. This time, Yin Jingfan, this little kid, has also seen your strength. He'll definitely tell Jiao Xian when he goes back. Previously, he only focused on nurturing a machine because he thought that there were no opponents, but if you show a threat. At that time, even if he doesn't have to use a forbidden weapon, if he suddenly contracts a bunch of machines that counter you, it won't be safe. Can you not plot loudly? Yin Jingfan held a cup of water and looked at Shi Yu and White Brook, who were plotting loudly, with a red face. Heavenly King Zhu, Yu Shu, and the others, who were sitting on the sofa and browsing their cell phones and reporting the situation to their relatives, were also speechless. It's so good to be young, the blue-haired girl and the other beast tamers who had already graduated from university sighed. The National League this year was not going to be peaceful. Was Ancient Capital University about to counterattack? Shi Yu's pets were indeed monsters. They were even fiercer than Lu Qingyi back then. That's true. Upon hearing White Brook's words, Shiyu was immediately stunned. He had almost forgotten about this. Because he was too invincible, Jiao Xian had never contracted other mechanical pets. It was still a little difficult to modify a pile of explosive babies that could counter him at the last minute. He still remembered clearly the scene of Jiao Xian using a forbidden weapon to destroy the ice dragon Snow Mountain. This guy's beast-taming talent was very strange. Be it Jiao Xian or Shiyu, they're both pretty threatening. Heavenly King Zhu glanced at Shiyu. Fortunately, these two weren't from the club system, so they wouldn't snatch his rice bowl and resources from him. He would just watch the two of them have fun and kill each other in the National League for the time being. As long as he didn't come to snatch his trending topic for no reason. This was all traffic. Flow was money and resources. As long as he used it well, it wouldn't be any less than the profits from the research results of Shiyu and Jiao Xian's research. Thinking of this, Zhu Yun photoshopped the selfie of himself and the overlord dragon species, the Black Flood Dragon, and posted it on the internet. He also informed his subordinate companies to operate as soon as possible. No one should snatch his spot on the trending topic this time, right? Although Shiyu was in the limelight in the Dragon Palace this time, Shiyu shouldn't be so high profile. If he revealed his experience, the others wouldn't be so crazy as to publicize it. Dinner's ready. Everyone, let's go eat. Master is also here. At this moment, Jinghai, who had gone to see the situation, returned to his room and smiled at everyone. You've worked hard. All right. Everyone responded. Soon everyone arrived at the dining location of the training hall. Perhaps because they knew that everyone was tired of eating the food there in Dragon Palace City, the training hall by the sea specially prepared the special dishes based on land. Soon, everyone sat at a table happily. A moment later, the tyrannical sea legend also sat down. However, modern young people still couldn't change the bad habit of holding cell phones at the dining table. Dragon Palace City had them cooped up for several days. They could only watch novels and videos that had already been downloaded. When it came to land, there weren't so many things to pay attention to. They could swipe whatever it wanted. Not long after they sat down, the blue-haired girl from the elemental family said in disbelief, "Quick, look at the news #1 on the trending list." Upon hearing the blue-haired girl's words, Zhu Yun, who was not far away, chuckled. "Hey, I was accidentally discovered. It's so embarrassing." "What's wrong?" The blue-haired girl surprised confused White Brook, Xia Qingwei, and the others. "It's the world competition. The official media said that Dong Huang is about to start the battle teams for the world competition. A total of 10 beast tamers under the age of 30 are to be chosen according to their strength. Wooer, I didn't expect that I could actually catch up to the world competition in my lifetime." "What?" The blue-haired girl's word stunned everyone and also stunned Jinghai. Legend Sea Tyrant was also a little surprised. The others were stunned by this news, but the tyrannical sea legend didn't expect it to announce the news so quickly. Among the crowd, everyone was attracted by the word world competition. Zhu Yun was no exception. However, after he reacted, he quickly took out his cell phone and looked at the news of the world competition on his news. His expression immediately darkened. "Ah, this?